All right, I've got 46 seconds to grab your attention, and let me tell you, it's worth it. Did you know the average YouTube viewer decides whether to keep watching within the first 30 seconds? That's why I'm going all in to make sure you stay, because this video is packed with value. Here's the deal. AI-driven agents are shaping the future. Think self-driving cars making split-second decisions, robots working side by side with humans, and algorithms mastering games like chess and Go. In this video, I'm going to break down why this matters to you, what's exciting about it, and how it's changing industries across the board. But don't just take my word for it. My YouTube analytics show that viewers like you are looking for content that makes complex topics fun and easy to understand, and that's what I do best. So, in the next few minutes, you'll learn why understanding AI behavior is critical for innovation, how advanced tools like PISA predict AI actions in real time, and why this knowledge is a game changer for your career, your projects, or just your inner tech enthusiast. Now, before we dive in, do me a solid, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Plus, drop a comment below. What excites you most about AI? Let's start a conversation. All right, time's up. Let's get started. Have you ever wondered how a self-driving car knows exactly when to stop, when to turn, or how to avoid a sudden obstacle, all while you sit back and relax? Or how robots are starting to work alongside humans, not just on factory floors, but even in hospitals and homes? Well, the answer lies in one of the most fascinating advancements of our time: AI-driven agents. These are not just ordinary pieces of technology. They're systems designed to think, learn, and make decisions, often faster and more accurately than we ever could. Let's dive deep into what makes them so extraordinary and why they're reshaping the future of industries. So, what are AI-driven agents? At their simplest, these are autonomous systems that operate in dynamic, ever-changing environments. They're designed to make decisions based on constant feedback, learning, and improving over time. But here's the kicker: they do all of this without needing step-by-step instructions from a human. Instead, they analyze their environment, adapt to it, and act accordingly. Take a moment to imagine the power of this. These agents are not just following rules, they're evolving their behavior based on what they experience. It's like giving a robot a brain that allows it to solve new problems on the fly. Let's break this down into real-world examples. In autonomous driving, AI-driven agents make decisions in milliseconds, identifying pedestrians, reacting to unpredictable traffic patterns, and navigating through complex cityscapes. It's not just about moving from point A to B. It's about doing it safely and efficiently, even in challenging conditions. In robotics, they're helping robots become our collaborative partners. Picture a robot in a busy warehouse, working alongside humans to organize inventory, or even helping surgeons perform precision operations in an operating room. And in generative modeling, they're creating entirely new things: synthetic voices, ultra-realistic images, even original music compositions. They're like artists powered by algorithms. But why does this matter? Because understanding their behavior is not just fascinating, it's essential. Let's explore two major reasons: ethical considerations. As these agents gain more autonomy, we need to ensure they act in ways that align with human values. What happens if a decision made by an AI agent unintentionally causes harm? For example, a self-driving car might have to decide between hitting an obstacle or swerving into another lane. These aren't just hypothetical scenarios. They're real questions we need to address as these technologies become widespread. Practical applications. Understanding how these agents operate makes them more efficient and reliable. Imagine a drone delivering medical supplies to a remote area. If something goes wrong, like a sudden storm or a technical glitch, understanding its decision-making process could be the difference between success and failure. Here's another exciting piece to consider. AI-driven agents are not limited to just one field. They're already transforming healthcare by helping doctors predict patient outcomes. They're revolutionizing finance by making stock trading faster and more data-driven. They're even helping researchers tackle climate change by modeling complex weather patterns or optimizing renewable energy use. But there's also a big challenge. AI-driven agents operate in environments that are incredibly complex and unpredictable. Their decision-making is influenced by countless variables, from the rules they've been trained on to the chaotic nature of the world around them. This makes it essential to not only develop these systems, but also to deeply understand how they behave in different scenarios. For example, how does an AI agent learn to balance speed and caution in a self-driving car? Or how do robotic assistants know when to take initiative versus waiting for human instructions? These questions may sound technical, but they're crucial for ensuring that AI-driven agents are both effective and trustworthy. To solve these challenges, researchers are working on advanced techniques like dynamic mode decomposition and stochastic modeling. These approaches help us understand and predict the often nonlinear, chaotic behavior of AI agents, making them safer and more reliable for real-world use. In conclusion, AI-driven agents are not just tools. They're becoming decision makers. From enabling life-saving technologies to creating entirely new possibilities, they're pushing the boundaries of what's possible. But as we move forward, it's equally important to ensure they act ethically, align with our values, and remain a force for good. All right, let's get real for a second. How many of you have seen a video of a self-driving car smoothly cruising through traffic, or a robot gracefully picking up objects? Now, be honest, did you stop and think, wow, that's so cool? Or did you ask yourself, wait, how is this even possible? How does the AI handle all the unpredictable stuff? Well, let me tell you, it's not as simple as it looks. Here's the truth. AI-driven agents are operating in worlds that are messy, unpredictable, and full of surprises. It's not just about programming them to follow instructions, it's about building systems that can think on their feet, and that's where the complexity of AI agents comes in. This isn't just fascinating, it's a game of balancing chaos and control, precision and adaptability. Let's break it down so you can see why this complexity is both the biggest challenge and the biggest opportunity in the AI world. Imagine you're walking through a crowded city. You're dodging people, keeping an eye on traffic, looking at your phone for directions, and still somehow making it to your destination without bumping into anything. Now, picture an AI agent trying to do the same thing. Except for the AI, it's not just navigating, it's processing hundreds of data points at once. Traffic lights, pedestrians, cyclists, road signs, weather conditions, unexpected obstacles, you name it. And it's doing this in real time, with zero room for error. This is what we mean by high-dimensional spaces. AI agents don't just focus on one or two variables. They're juggling dozens, sometimes even hundreds of factors at once. Every decision they make is influenced by a vast web of variables, all interacting with each other in unpredictable ways. Think of it like juggling chainsaws while walking a tightrope. Sounds intense, right? Well, that's exactly what these agents are doing, except the stakes are much higher, because if they fail, it's not just a dropped ball. It could mean a collision, a missed diagnosis, or worse. Now, here's where it gets even trickier. Predicting how an AI agent will behave in a complex environment isn't like predicting the weather, it's way more chaotic. Why? Because the environment is constantly changing, and sometimes small changes lead to huge, unpredictable outcomes. Let me give you an example. Imagine a self-driving car. On a sunny day with light traffic, it's a breeze, but throw in some rain, heavy traffic, and a few jaywalking pedestrians, and suddenly the situation gets complicated. The AI has to adapt on the fly, making decisions it's never faced before. And that's just one car. Imagine hundreds of them interacting with each other. Now you've got a system so complex it makes your head spin. This is what researchers call nonlinear dynamics. It's the idea that even tiny shifts in the environment can cause massive ripple effects. Traditional models just can't handle this level of chaos, which is why scientists are turning to advanced tools like stochastic nonlinear systems to make sense of it all. But why should you care? Why does the complexity of AI agents matter to you personally? Because the systems we're building today are going to shape the world you live in tomorrow. These aren't just tech experiments. They're systems that are running our cars, our cities, our healthcare, even our economies. In autonomous driving, understanding complexity means making sure your self-driving car can handle not just the easy roads, but the unpredictable, chaotic situations where lives are on the line. In robotics, it's about ensuring robots can work safely and effectively alongside humans, whether they're building cars on an assembly line or delivering groceries to your doorstep. In healthcare, it's about trusting that AI-driven systems can analyze complex medical data to diagnose diseases and recommend treatments without making critical errors. But let's be real, this is no easy task. Modeling the behavior of AI agents is like trying to map out a river during a storm. The flow is constantly changing, the currents are unpredictable, and every small input creates a ripple effect that can change the entire system. So, how do we tackle this? Researchers are developing advanced tools to analyze and predict the behavior of these agents. One of the most promising is dynamic mode decomposition, DMD. It's a fancy way of saying, let's break down the chaos into smaller, manageable pieces. By doing this, we can start to see patterns in the noise and better predict how AI agents will behave in the future. Think of DMD like a detective piecing together a mystery. It looks at every clue, every movement, every decision, and figures out the bigger picture. This allows us to build AI systems that are not just smarter, but also more reliable and predictable. But here's the flip side. This complexity isn't just a problem, it's also what makes AI agents so exciting. The fact that they can operate in such unpredictable environments means they're capable of solving problems we never thought possible. Imagine drones that can deliver medical supplies to remote areas during a natural disaster, adapting to wind, rain, and obstacles in real time. Picture robots that can learn new tasks on the job, just like a human trainee, without needing to be reprogrammed every time something changes. Think about AI systems that can predict financial crises, optimize energy grids, or even help us fight climate change by modeling complex environmental systems. So, what's the takeaway? The complexity of AI agents is what makes them powerful, but it's also what makes them challenging to understand and control. If we can crack the code on this complexity, we're not just building smarter machines, we're building systems that can transform industries, save lives, and redefine what's possible. All right, let's do a quick behavior test on you. Ready? Here we go. Imagine you're at a busy intersection. There's a car coming from your left, a cyclist speeding up from your right, and a pedestrian about to cross in front of you. What do? Take a moment to think about it. Do you brake and wait for everyone to clear the road? Do you swerve to avoid the cyclist? Or maybe you just honk and hope for the best? Now, before you pat yourself on the back for making a decision, let me ask you this. Why did you make that choice? Was it instinct, experience, or something else entirely? Here's the fun part. What you just did in your head is exactly what AI-driven agents do in real time, except they don't have instincts or years of experience to rely on. They analyze the situation, process data, and make decisions, all in a fraction of a second. But how do they do that? That's where today's topic comes in, analyzing AI behavior. So let's bridge the gap here. Unlike humans, AI agents rely entirely on the data they're given and the models they're trained on. But here's the catch. If we want these agents to make good decisions, we need to understand how they behave, why they behave that way, and most importantly, how we can predict and improve their behavior. Let's dive into how this process works. Analyzing AI behavior starts with a three-step process: data collection, model selection, and validation. Each of these steps is critical to ensuring that AI-driven agents can perform reliably in dynamic environments. This is the foundation of everything. To understand an AI agent's behavior, we need to first gather data about how it interacts with its environment. This isn't just a one-time thing, it's an ongoing process. Think of it like watching a professional athlete in action. You record their movements, study their patterns, and identify areas for improvement. For example, in the case of self-driving cars, researchers collect data on every possible scenario: highways, city streets, heavy traffic, rainy weather, and more. Each dataset captures the agent's interactions, decisions, and outcomes. This step is critical because the more diverse and accurate the data, the better we can understand and predict the agent's behavior. Now that we've got the data, the next step is to choose the right model to analyze it. But here's where things get tricky. Not all models are created equal. Some are better at handling randomness, while others excel at predicting specific patterns. For AI agents, researchers often use stochastic models, which account for the randomness and uncertainty in their behavior. For instance, a model might predict the probability of a self-driving car stopping at a yellow light versus speeding through it. Advanced techniques like the Markov transfer operator allow us to simplify these behaviors into understandable patterns, making it easier to analyze and predict how an agent will act in the future. Finally, we come to validation, the ultimate test. This step is all about making sure the model's predictions match reality. Think of it like a final exam for the AI agent. Does it behave as expected in real-world scenarios, or does it fail when faced with something new? One common technique is to compare predicted outcomes with actual outcomes using metrics like KL divergence, which measures how well the model's predictions align with observed behaviors. For instance, in autonomous vehicles, researchers might validate how well the car's behavior aligns with real-world driving scenarios. If the predictions are off, it's back to the drawing board. Here's the big picture. By analyzing AI behavior, we're not just making these agents smarter, we're making them safer, more reliable, and more aligned with human expectations. Whether it's a self-driving car avoiding accidents or a medical AI recommending treatments, understanding their behavior is the key to trust and effectiveness. So, the next time you see a robot or an AI-powered system making a decision, remember this. Behind every action is a mountain of data, a carefully chosen model, and countless hours of validation. And that's just the start of the story. Let's keep going. All right, let's do a little experiment with you. Imagine this. You're at a vending machine and you're trying to get a snack. You press the button for your favorite candy, but instead of getting what you wanted, the machine drops something else, a bag of chips. What do you do next? Do you try pressing the button again, hoping it works this time, or do you pick a different snack and see what happens? Maybe you even give up and walk away. Whatever your choice, you just experienced a concept central to reinforcement learning, trial and error. Now, let's connect this to AI. Reinforcement learning is all about teaching AI agents to make decisions by interacting with their environment and learning from the outcomes. It's like the vending machine scenario, but instead of snacks, the AI is learning to solve real-world problems by testing actions, getting feedback, and adjusting its behavior over time. At its heart, reinforcement learning works on a simple principle: reward and penalty. Think of it like training a dog. When the dog sits on command, you give it a treat, reward. When it jumps on the couch, you tell it no, penalty. For AI, these rewards and penalties aren't treats or scoldings. They're numbers. The agent performs an action, gets feedback, and then updates its strategy to maximize its future rewards. Let's bring this idea to life with some real-world examples. Autonomous driving. A self-driving car learns to navigate a city by trying different actions. like slowing down at intersections or speeding up to merge into traffic. Each action is rewarded or penalized based on its safety and efficiency. Over time, the car gets better at driving in complex environments. Gaming. Have you ever heard of AlphaGo? It's the AI that famously beat the world champion at the game of Go. How did it do it? By playing millions of games against itself, learning from its mistakes, and figuring out the best strategies to win. Robotics. Picture a robot in a warehouse learning to stack boxes. At first, it might drop the boxes or place them incorrectly, but as it keeps trying and receives feedback, reward for stacking correctly, penalty for mistakes, it becomes more efficient and accurate. Here's what makes reinforcement learning so exciting. It's not about following a set of rules. It's about learning from experience. These agents aren't just programmed to perform tasks. They're taught to figure out the best way to achieve a goal on their own. For example, in healthcare, AI agents are learning how to optimize treatment plans for patients by simulating thousands of possible outcomes. In logistics, they're figuring out the fastest and most cost-effective ways to deliver packages across cities. But here's the thing. Reinforcement learning isn't perfect. It comes with its own set of challenges. For one, the learning process can be slow and resource intensive. Imagine how long it takes for a robot to learn how to walk by falling down and getting back up repeatedly. On top of that, there's the risk of agents learning the wrong behavior, like gaming the system to maximize rewards in ways we didn't intend. So, just like you learned how to deal with that vending machine, AI agents are learning to deal with the complexities of the real world. They're making mistakes, getting feedback, and slowly but surely getting better. This is the power of reinforcement learning, a system that doesn't just act, but learns, adapts, and evolves. All right, let's play a little game, you versus me. Imagine this. We're both stuck in a desert, and there are only 2 water wells nearby. We can each choose to go to one of the wells. But here's the twist. If we both choose the same well, the water runs out and we both lose. If we each choose a different well, we both survive. So, what's your choice? This scenario isn't just a fun thought experiment, it's a perfect example of the Nash Equilibrium in action, one of the most fascinating concepts in game theory. And guess what? AI agents are using this exact principle to solve real-world problems. Let's unpack how it works. The Nash Equilibrium, named after the brilliant mathematician John Nash, is a concept in game theory where no player can improve their situation by changing their strategy, provided the other players stick to theirs. In simpler terms, it's the point where everyone's decisions balance out and no one has an incentive to change. In our desert game, the Nash Equilibrium is clear. We both choose different wells. If either of us tries to change our choice, we'd end up at the same well and lose. But what does this have to do with AI? A lot. AI agents frequently operate in environments where they need to make decisions in competition or cooperation with others. Here's how the Nash Equilibrium comes into play in real-life traffic systems. Imagine AI-driven cars at an intersection. Each car needs to decide whether to go, stop, or yield, based on the actions of the others. If all cars act according to the Nash Equilibrium, traffic flows smoothly with no collisions or gridlock. Negotiations. In automated trading systems, AI agents use Nash Equilibrium strategies to make deals that benefit all parties without anyone trying to game the system. Multi-agent robotics. Picture a team of warehouse robots. They need to cooperate to avoid collisions while completing their tasks. The Nash Equilibrium helps them decide who takes which path without disrupting the others. AI isn't just about making decisions, it's about making the right decisions in situations where there are competing interests. Game theory, and the Nash Equilibrium in particular, provides a framework for AI agents to navigate these challenges. Whether it's self-driving cars, financial markets, or even online gaming, These agents need to predict what others will do and respond in a way that benefits everyone, or at least themselves. Here's another fun example. Imagine you and your friend are caught stealing cookies. Seriously, who doesn't love cookies? The police interrogate you separately and offer a deal. If you confess and your friend stays silent, you go free and your friend gets 10 years. If you both confess, you both get 5 years. If you both stay silent, you both only get 1 year. Now, what's your move? Do you confess or stay silent? The Nash equilibrium here would be for both of you to confess, because no matter what the other does, confessing minimizes your risk. This exact principle is used in AI to handle strategic interactions. By the way, if this topic fascinates you as much as it does me, you should definitely check out Professor Dr. Christian Rieck. He's one of the leading experts on game theory and has written some incredible books that break down these concepts in simple, engaging ways. His YouTube channel is packed with insights, though it's mostly in German, but trust me, it's worth it if you're serious about learning more. So whether it's robots, self-driving cars, or even AI agents negotiating contracts, game theory and the Nash equilibrium are at the heart of how they operate. Understanding these principles isn't just interesting, it's essential for building systems that can make better, smarter, and more cooperative decisions. Okay, real quick, have you ever tried swinging a pendulum? You pull it back, let it go, and it swings back and forth, super smooth and predictable, right? That's a linear system. But now imagine attaching a second pendulum to the first one. What happens? Absolute chaos. The motion goes wild, and it's different every single time. That, my friends, is a nonlinear dynamical system in action, and today we're diving into what that actually means. But first, let's break it down step by step, nice and easy, because these words might sound fancy, but they're super easy to understand once we unpack them. Let's start at the most basic level, a static system. These are systems where nothing changes over time. For example, imagine a chair just sitting in a room. No matter how long you stare at it, it's not moving unless something external acts on it. No time, no change, no drama. Static systems are the most boring ones, let's be honest. Now we level up to linear systems. These are systems where the relationship between input and output is simple and proportional. You push a little, it moves a little. Push harder, it moves more. Double the input, double the output, super straightforward. Think of a seesaw at a playground. You push down on one side and the other side goes up, perfectly proportional to your push. Or take a spring, stretch it a little and it pulls back gently. Stretch it a lot and it pulls back harder. That's a linear system, clean, predictable, no surprises. But here's where things get crazy, nonlinear systems. These are systems where small changes in input can lead to massive changes in output. It's like throwing a pebble into a still lake and causing a tsunami on the other side of the world. Okay, maybe not that extreme, but you get the idea. Let's go back to the pendulum example. One pendulum, simple, predictable. Two pendulums connected. Now you're in nonlinear territory. Tiny differences in how you release it can lead to completely different, unpredictable motions. It's chaotic, it's fascinating, and it's what makes nonlinear systems so mind-blowing. Now let's take this one step further. A nonlinear dynamical system is all about systems that change over time. Unlike static systems where everything stays still, dynamical systems are always evolving, always moving. And when you add nonlinearity to the mix, you get something that's not just changing, but often doing so in totally unpredictable ways. All right, let's get real. Weather is a perfect example of a nonlinear dynamical system. A tiny temperature change in one part of the world can cause storms, heat waves, or even hurricanes somewhere else. Why? Because all the variables, temperature, wind, humidity, interact in crazy nonlinear ways. That's why weather predictions are so hard to nail down. It's just too chaotic. Let's stack them up side by side to make it super clear. Linear systems, proportional, predictable, and simple. Think springs or seesaws. Nonlinear systems, chaotic, sensitive to small changes, and often unpredictable. Think weather, traffic, or that double pendulum. Okay, so why does this matter? Because the real world is full of nonlinear dynamical systems, from how diseases spread to how financial markets crash, and even how AI systems behave in chaotic environments like traffic or robotics. If we want AI to operate in these complex spaces, we need to understand and predict these systems. Here's the cool part. Scientists aren't just throwing their hands up and saying, oh, well, it's too hard. They're using advanced tools like dynamic mode decomposition, DMD, to break down nonlinear systems into smaller, more manageable parts. It's like solving a puzzle, analyzing each piece so we can figure out how the whole thing works. So, next time you see a self-driving car navigating traffic or a weather app predicting tomorrow's storm, remember this. Behind all that magic is a nonlinear dynamical system. Chaotic? Yes. Complicated? Absolutely. But understanding these systems is what makes cutting-edge tech like AI and robotics possible. I tried to avoid it, but here we are. We're diving into the math world, and the term of the day is, drumroll, please, stochastic. Yep, I know it's one of those words that sounds like it belongs in a physics lab, not in your everyday life. But here's the thing, it's actually pretty cool, and I'm going to make sure it's crystal clear before we're done. So, let me ask you this. Have you ever tried predicting what your dog would do if you left the front door open? Will they run out and chase a squirrel, lie down like nothing's happening, or maybe they'll just stare at you like, "What's your move, human?" That, my friends, is a perfect example of stochastic behavior, randomness with a bit of unpredictability thrown in. Stochastic simply means something is influenced by randomness. It's about uncertainty and probabilities, not hard and fast rules. Imagine flipping a coin. You don't know if it'll land on heads or tails, but you do know there's a 50% chance of each. That's the magic of stochastic dynamics. It's not about predicting the exact outcome, but about understanding the possibilities. Now, let's bring this into the world of AI. AI agents, especially the ones dealing with real-world environments, often operate in stochastic systems. What does that mean? It means their behavior is shaped by randomness and uncertainty in the world around them. Here are a few examples to show you what I mean. Autonomous driving. Think about a self-driving car navigating traffic. It can't predict every single thing a human driver will do. Someone might change lanes unexpectedly, or a pedestrian might suddenly appear. That randomness is stochastic behavior, and the AI has to account for it in real time. Robotics. In warehouses, robots interact with constantly changing environments. Sensors might pick up slightly inaccurate data, or objects could move unexpectedly. Again, the system needs to adapt to that randomness. Game-playing AI. Ever played against an AI in a game like chess? Sometimes it makes a totally unpredictable move. That's because AI incorporates stochastic elements to explore strategies it hasn't used before. So here's the kicker. Stochastic systems are tough to predict. Why? Because randomness makes it impossible to know exactly what will happen. You can't just use simple equations to model them. Instead, we rely on probabilistic approaches and statistical tools to make sense of the chaos. Old-school deterministic models just can't cut it. They're like trying to use a ruler to measure clouds, completely useless when the system is unpredictable. To handle stochastic behavior, we use techniques like statistical modeling. For example, tools like kernel density estimation, KDE, help us estimate probabilities based on data, giving the AI a way to predict the most likely outcomes without needing certainty. All right, so why do we care about all this randomness? Because the real world is random. Life isn't predictable. Traffic, weather, even human decisions, there's always some element of surprise. And if we want AI to function in this messy, chaotic world, it has to understand and adapt to stochastic systems. So, next time you're playing with your dog, driving in traffic, or Even flipping a coin, remember? You're dealing with stochastic dynamics. It's not just math, it's the foundation of how AI learns to handle unpredictability in the real world. And guess what? Now you understand it too. Let's play a quick game. Imagine you're standing at the edge of a lake tossing pebbles into the water. The ripples from each pebble spread out, overlapping and interacting in unpredictable ways. Now here's the challenge. Can you predict exactly where the water will ripple at any given moment? Seems impossible, right? But here's the thing. What if I told you there's a mathematical way to figure out the most likely patterns? Sounds like magic? Well, welcome to the world of the Fokker-Planck equation. Okay, I get it. You hear the name Fokker-Planck equation and your brain might scream too complicated, but it's actually really cool and surprisingly useful. At its core, this equation is a tool for understanding how randomness evolves over time in a system. It helps us figure out the probability density, or in simple terms, the likelihood of something happening at different points. Let's go back to the lake. Each pebble you throw represents a random event, like a change in temperature, a fluctuation in stock prices, or even the movement of molecules in a gas. The Fokker-Planck equation doesn't try to predict the exact ripples of every pebble. Instead, it maps out the most likely areas where ripples will appear over time. It's like turning chaos into a beautiful pattern we can understand. So why do we care about this? Because in AI, the world is full of randomness. Stochastic behavior is everywhere. Let's look at some examples of where the Fokker-Planck equation steps in to save the day. Imagine a self-driving car trying to predict where a pedestrian might cross the street. The Fokker-Planck equation helps the AI model the likelihood of different pedestrian movements, allowing it to navigate safely in unpredictable environments. Picture a robot weaving through a crowded mall. Every human it encounters moves in a slightly random way. This equation helps the robot predict the most likely paths people will take, so it can avoid collisions. Want to know the chance of rain tomorrow? The Fokker-Planck equation plays a role in modeling how random atmospheric changes evolve over time, giving meteorologists the tools to predict probabilities. All right, here's your challenge. Imagine you're an AI robot in a crowded park. People are walking, kids are running, and dogs are darting around. You need to figure out the safest path to deliver a package without crashing into anyone. What do? Do you try to predict everyone's exact movements? Nope. Instead, you rely on tools like the Fokker-Planck equation to calculate the most probable paths and navigate accordingly. Cool, right? Here's how it fits into AI research. Random forces and noise. The equation models how random forces, like unpredictable movements, affect a system over time. State evolution. It tracks how probabilities shift as the system evolves, giving AI a way to adapt and make better decisions in real-world chaos. So, the next time you hear the term Fokker-Planck equation, don't think of it as a scary math thing. Think of it as a superhero tool that turns randomness into predictability. From self-driving cars to weather forecasts, this equation is helping AI navigate our beautifully chaotic world. And now you're in on the secret too. Have you ever walked into a messy room? If no, you are welcome. Visit my office in Stuttgart. Clothes on the floor, papers everywhere, socks in places socks shouldn't be, and thought, how did it get this chaotic? Well, guess what? You've just encountered entropy in action. Entropy is the ultimate measure of chaos, randomness, or uncertainty in a system, and it's one of the most mind-blowing concepts in science and AI. Let's make sense of this chaos together. What is entropy, really? Entropy is all about disorder. Think of it like this. A perfectly organized closet has low entropy. Everything is neat, tidy, and exactly where it should be. But as soon as you start throwing stuff in there without thinking, entropy increases. Chaos takes over. In physics, Entropy measures the randomness in a system, like how gas molecules spread out in a room. In information theory, entropy is about uncertainty, how unpredictable something is. In simple terms, high entropy, more chaos. Low entropy, more order. Easy, right? Now, let's bring entropy into the world of AI. Why does it matter? Because AI is constantly dealing with uncertainty and randomness, especially in complex environments, and entropy helps us measure and manage that uncertainty. Here's how. When AI is deciding between multiple options, entropy tells it how uncertain those choices are. The goal: reduce entropy and make the best decision. Ever wondered how apps like Spotify compress music? They use entropy to figure out which parts of the data can be simplified while keeping the quality intact. It's like organizing the chaos of sound waves. Entropy helps AI figure out how much uncertainty exists in its predictions, like forecasting the weather or recommending movies. The lower the entropy, the more confident the AI is. Let's play a quick game to really nail this concept. Imagine two jars. Jar 1 has 10 red balls and 10 blue balls, perfectly mixed. You don't know what color you'll pick. High entropy. Jar 2 has 19 red balls and 1 blue ball. You can confidently guess you'll get a red ball. Low entropy. See the difference? The more unpredictable the system, the higher the entropy. And AI? It's like a genius that's always trying to move from jar 1 to jar 2, reducing uncertainty wherever it can. Now, here's the really cool part. AI doesn't just measure entropy, it works to minimize it. That's what makes AI so powerful. It takes complex, messy data and simplifies it into something meaningful and actionable. Let's look at some examples. Self-driving cars. When navigating traffic, the AI reduces entropy by predicting where other cars, pedestrians, or obstacles will be, turning a chaotic environment into something manageable. Generative AI. When AI creates something new, like text or images, it reduces entropy by focusing on the most probable patterns. That's how it generates realistic, high-quality results. And here is your takeaway. Make one click on the subscribe button. Entropy isn't just a fancy science term. It's the secret sauce behind how AI makes sense of the unpredictable. Whether it's predicting the weather, recognizing your face, or even making your Netflix recommendations, entropy is working behind the scenes to bring order to the chaos. So, next time you hear the word entropy, don't think of it as just some abstract concept. Think of it as the driving force that helps AI, and maybe even you, turn life's messy rooms into something beautifully organized. And now you've got the tools to understand it. Let's dive even deeper into how AI uses this concept to reshape our world. Let me tell you a quick story about my good old friend Markov. So back in the day, I thought I was a genius. I heard about Markov from a colleague, and I figured I'd impress everyone at a dinner party by talking about him. Except instead of explaining Markov decision processes, I ended up talking about a guy I thought was named Markov who invented Monopoly. Yeah, it turns out Markov was never a board game inventor, but he did create one of the coolest mathematical tools in AI. Lesson learned. Okay, jokes aside, let's talk about the real Markov, Andrei Markov. He was a Russian mathematician who developed the concept of Markov processes, which are all about predicting the future based on the present. No need to look too far ahead or dwell on the past. Just focus on what's happening right now. Pretty neat, right? All right, here's the deal. A Markov decision process, or MDP for short, is like giving AI the ultimate decision-making playbook. It's all about helping AI figure out the best actions to take in uncertain situations to maximize some kind of reward. Let's break it down step by step. States. This is where the AI finds itself at any given moment. Think of it as being in a room. The state is simply, I'm in this room. Actions. These are the choices the AI can make. In our room example, the actions are, should I stay here or move to the next room? Rewards. What's the payoff for each action? If the next room has pizza, that's a reward. If it has spiders, well, that's a negative reward. Transition. Probabilities. Here's where it gets fun. The AI doesn't always know for sure what's behind the door. It has probabilities to guide its guesses. Maybe there's a 70% chance of pizza and a 30% chance of spiders. It uses those probabilities to make the best possible decision. Okay, so Markov decision processes sound great, but how does AI actually use them? Let's dive into a couple of real-world examples. Imagine an autonomous vehicle at an intersection. Its state is where it's currently stopped. Its actions include going straight, turning, or waiting, and its reward is a safe, efficient journey. Using MDPs, the car decides the best move based on probabilities, like predicting whether that cyclist will turn left or keep going. Think of a warehouse robot trying to pick and deliver items. The states are its positions, the actions are its moves, and the rewards are all about getting things done quickly without bumping into walls or people. Ever played a video game with an AI opponent? MDPs help game characters decide when to attack, defend, or retreat, making them smarter and more fun to play against. Here's why Markov's work is so legendary. MDPs don't just give AI a way to make decisions, they give it a way to make optimal decisions in uncertain situations. Whether it's a self-driving car, a game AI, or even managing supply chains, MDPs are the blueprint for intelligent action. So, next time someone asks you who Markov is, don't make my mistake. Instead, tell them about how his work is powering the AI systems that are shaping our future. From self-driving cars to robots and beyond, Markov decision processes are the secret sauce of smart decision-making. Thanks, Markov. You're the real MVP. Imagine you're at a Depeche Mode concert. Yes, enjoy the silence playing in the background. Now think about how those iconic beats are composed, layer by layer, each instrument seamlessly flowing into the next. That's essentially what dynamic mode decomposition, or DMD, does for data. Let me explain. Dynamic mode decomposition, or DMD, is like creating a hit song from chaotic noise. It's a mathematical tool that analyzes dynamic systems. Those systems where change is constant, like weather patterns or AI behaviors. DMD works by breaking complex movements or interactions into modes, which are like instruments in an orchestra. Each mode tells us a unique part of the story. Imagine observing a swarm of bees. The bees buzz around chaotically, but if we could decompose their movements into patterns, we might notice specific rhythms. Maybe some bees are forming circles, while others follow a linear path. DMD captures these hidden dynamics and shows us what's really going on underneath the buzz. Now here's the core of it. DMD operates by simplifying nonlinear systems, those messy, unpredictable systems, into something that behaves in a more predictable, linear way. It uses a technique called singular value decomposition, SVD. Don't worry about the fancy term. Think of it like cleaning up a messy desk. You sort the chaos into neat piles, and suddenly the whole desk makes sense. For instance, let's say you're trying to analyze ocean waves. The waves move unpredictably, but DMD allows us to isolate dominant modes, say large waves versus small ripples, and predict how they'll evolve over time. It's like zooming out on the ocean to understand the big picture while still being able to see the small details. Here's where it gets cool. DMD isn't just for nature, it's revolutionizing AI. Imagine a self-driving car navigating a busy highway. The car has to process tons of data, speed, lane positions, traffic flow, and adapt in real time. By using DMD, researchers can break down this chaos into manageable components. This allows AI to predict future traffic patterns and make smarter decisions faster. Think about the stability of these systems. Without tools like DMD, we'd be building AI systems that could easily crash, literally and figuratively, under pressure. With DMD, we can ensure safety and performance in real-world scenarios like autonomous driving or even advanced robotics? Are you still thinking about Depeche Mode? Now's the time to imagine how you could apply this powerful tool in your work, whether it's predicting customer behavior or optimizing complex algorithms. Dynamic mode. Decomposition makes chaos understandable, just like great music makes noise beautiful. Let's keep exploring how tools like these redefine the limits of AI. So, my girlfriend says I have chaotic behavior, and I'll admit she might be right sometimes. But let's take this as an opportunity. Imagine I'm trying to explain why chaotic behavior happens, especially in systems like AI, and pretend I'm speaking as her. Here's the challenge. Let's break down chaos like a good boyfriend, making it crystal clear and relatable. Let's start with the big culprit, nonlinearity. This is like the mood swings I totally don't have. One small thing, like forgetting to buy her favorite chocolate, can spiral into a full day of chaos. Nonlinear systems act the same way. A tiny change in input can lead to massive, unpredictable effects. Think of it like pushing a swing at the playground. At first, your push just makes the swing move a little. But if you time your pushes just right, the swing builds momentum, flying higher and higher. In nonlinear systems, these small pushes can snowball into dramatic, chaotic patterns. AI agents, especially ones that learn and adapt, often exhibit this behavior. They might start by learning simple patterns, but as they take in more data, their responses can become wildly unpredictable. Next up, stochasticity, or randomness. My girlfriend would say it's like when I randomly decide to cook dinner but forget half the ingredients. AI systems face this too. Their environments throw random variables at them, unpredictable traffic, sudden hardware glitches, or even human errors. This randomness makes it incredibly hard to predict how the system will behave. For example, in an autonomous driving system, the AI might encounter a sudden downpour, obscuring road signs. This randomness, combined with the system's own decision-making quirks, can lead to actions we didn't anticipate. Stochasticity is like life throwing curveballs at the system, and sometimes it just strikes out. Now, let's get fancy. Complex interactions. Imagine a group of friends trying to coordinate a dinner plan. One friend's late, another changes the restaurant, and yet another cancels last minute. Suddenly the whole plan falls apart. That's complex interaction in a nutshell. AI systems deal with this constantly. Picture an AI trying to optimize warehouse robots. One robot slows down because of a heavy load, causing another to take a detour. These interactions cascade across the system, creating gaps in understanding and prediction. Traditional models aren't great at capturing these layered complexities, leaving researchers scratching their heads over the AI's decisions. Here's where I sympathize with AI. Algorithmic limitations. It's like my brain freezing when my girlfriend asks, "What's your 5-year plan?" AI systems often prioritize computational efficiency over fully understanding chaotic dynamics. They focus on getting things done fast, not necessarily on the why behind their actions. For example, some algorithms simplify chaotic behavior into averages, but this trade-off hides crucial details. It's like saying, on average, I remember your birthday, but skipping the fact that I forgot last year. AI systems need more robust methods to understand the full spectrum of chaotic behavior without losing important details. Finally, the solution, robust frameworks. This is like finally learning how to communicate better in a relationship, breaking down big issues into manageable steps. For AI, frameworks like spectral decomposition and density estimation help analyze chaotic behavior and bring order to the madness. Take, for instance, spectral decomposition. It's like separating a rainbow into its individual colors, each representing a different aspect of the system's dynamics. By isolating these colors, researchers can better predict how the AI will behave, even under chaotic conditions. Similarly, density estimation techniques allow AI to focus on the most probable outcomes, improving its reliability in real-world applications. So, there we have it. Chaos in AI is a lot like chaos in life. Unpredictable, sometimes frustrating, but totally manageable with the right tools. Whether it's nonlinear dynamics, randomness, or complex interactions, the key is understanding the roots of chaos and tackling it with robust frameworks. And hey, maybe next time I'll explain this to my girlfriend before I leave the dishes in the sink. That might just solve some chaos at home too. Ah, the spectral decomposition theorem. Everyone knows this one, right? Cue the crickets. Okay, just kidding. Most people probably haven't heard of it, but don't worry. We're going to break it down so it makes perfect sense. And trust me, it's cooler than it sounds. Ready? Let's dive in. At its core, the spectral decomposition theorem is like shining a light through a prism. You know how that splits the light into a beautiful rainbow? Well, this theorem does something similar. But instead of light, it works on something called Markov operators. These operators are like the guiding rules behind AI systems, steering them through the complex chaos of probabilities. The theorem essentially breaks these operators into their simplest, most fundamental components. Think of it like separating the bass line, drums, and vocals in a song. By isolating these parts, you can better understand how the whole system, be it a song or an AI, works. So instead of chaos, we get clarity. Now, why does this matter for AI? Well, imagine trying to predict the behavior of a super complex system like a self-driving car navigating rush hour traffic. Without spectral decomposition, it's like trying to listen to music on a bad radio station. All static, no clarity. But with this theorem, we can pull out the individual notes of the system's behavior, making predictions much more accurate. It's especially useful when AI is dealing with randomness. Remember stochasticity from earlier? By simplifying and analyzing these systems piece by piece, we can make sense of even the most chaotic patterns. It's like turning the chaos of a traffic jam into an elegant flowchart. Here's where it gets exciting. The spectral decomposition theorem doesn't just make AI smarter, it makes it safer and more aligned with our goals. For example, imagine teaching a robot to move through an obstacle course. Without this theorem, the robot might get stuck, overwhelmed by the sheer number of possibilities. But with spectral decomposition, it learns to focus on the most likely paths to success. Ever seen those AI-generated artworks that look almost human? This theorem helps AI decide which patterns to follow when creating something new, ensuring the result is both creative and consistent. In areas like healthcare or autonomous driving, there's no room for guesswork. The theorem enables systems to make reliable predictions, reducing the chances of errors. So while the spectral decomposition theorem might sound like a mouthful, it's really just a way of making sense of complexity. It's like taking a messy bedroom and organizing everything into neat little boxes. And for AI systems, that kind of clarity is the difference between success and chaos. It's a chaotic Monday morning. Okay, every Monday is chaotic. So it's a Monday morning and you're in the middle of a bustling airport. Flights are being delayed, announcements are blaring in every direction, people are running to their gates, utter chaos, right? Now imagine your job is to make sense of all this and figure out which passengers are heading where, which flights are on time, and which gates are about to change. Sounds impossible? Enter the spectral decomposition theorem. Think of it as your superpower for turning airport chaos into a crystal clear schedule. Now, before we dive into the heavy math, let's rewind. Remember the feeling of trying to organize something insanely messy, like untangling headphones or finding the last piece of a puzzle? The spectral decomposition theorem is like that, but for complex systems like AI, where chaos isn't an inconvenience, it's the norm. You untangle, simplify, and break things into their purest form. And trust me, this thing is a game changer. Here's a crazy story for you. Imagine a self-driving car company trying to teach their AI how to navigate traffic in New York City, and I'm talking real NYC traffic, honking horns, jaywalking pedestrians, aggressive cab drivers cutting you off, and, oh yes, bike messengers zooming by like they're in a video game. Without some way to break down all that unpredictable behavior into manageable pieces, the AI would just sit there, paralyzed, like, nope, too much chaos. This is where spectral decomposition saves the day. It takes all those wild, unpredictable patterns, simplifies them, and finds the core rhythms. Kind of like a DJ remixing a noisy city street into a chill, lo-fi beat. Suddenly the car can start to make sense of the madness and predict which way people and cars are moving. At its core, this theorem is like a pair of X-ray glasses for complex systems. It lets us see through the chaos and find the fundamental building blocks that make everything tick. Here's the deal. The spectral decomposition theorem works on something called Markov operators. These are essentially mathematical tools that describe how systems evolve over time, whether it's an AI predicting the next word in your sentence or a weather model forecasting tomorrow's rain. The theorem breaks these operators into smaller digestible components, kind of like separating all the individual colors of a rainbow. Think of it like disassembling a clock. Instead of looking at the whole mechanism spinning together, you can see the gears, springs, and hands all moving independently. This makes it way easier to predict how the clock, or in our case, the system, is going to behave next. Okay, so now you're thinking, cool story, but why does this matter to me? Let's break it down. Safety. First, in critical applications like healthcare or autonomous driving, AI systems need to make predictions that aren't just smart, they need to be foolproof. The spectral decomposition theorem allows us to strip away uncertainty and make these predictions more reliable. Precision and creativity. Ever seen those AI-generated artworks or videos? They're not just random. They follow patterns. This theorem helps AI systems focus on the most important patterns, ensuring what they create is both innovative and coherent. Solving big problems. From climate modeling to financial markets, complex systems are everywhere. By using spectral decomposition, we can break these massive noisy systems into smaller, understandable parts, making solutions actually achievable. Here's a mind-blowing example. Imagine a robot trying to navigate a factory floor where forklifts are zipping around, workers are moving boxes, and conveyor belts are in constant motion. Without spectral decomposition, this poor robot would be overwhelmed, misinterpreting every movement as equally important. But by isolating the critical dynamics, like the trajectory of forklifts or the timing of belt movement, the robot can focus on what truly matters and make safe, efficient decisions. Still not sold? Let's explore how this theorem sneaks into areas you might never expect: AI assistance. Every time your phone predicts what you're going to type next, it's leveraging simplified models derived from concepts like this theorem. Game AI. Ever wondered how NPCs in video games seem so smart? They're using systems that predict outcomes thanks to simplified probability models. Movie recommendations. Yes, even Netflix algorithms benefit from this. By breaking your viewing habits into patterns, they predict what you'll binge next. It's basically spectral decomposition for your tastes. Let me paint a picture for you. If this theorem were a superhero, it'd probably be Dr. Strange. Why? Because it takes a chaotic multiverse of possibilities and with a flick of its magic isolates just the right timeline. Suddenly, what seemed random and unmanageable becomes crystal clear. I mean, how cool is that? Okay, so you're not building an AI or programming robots, but think about it. Life is full of chaotic systems, whether it's managing a busy schedule, optimizing a budget, or even making tough decisions. Wouldn't it be awesome to have a tool that simplifies everything into its core components? This is exactly what spectral decomposition teaches us. Break things down, focus on what matters, and tackle complexity one step at a time. Who knew math could teach life lessons? All right, before we dive deeper, let's clear something up. PISA here doesn't involve students or global education rankings. This PISA, Probabilistic Inference for System Analysis, is all about how AI systems learn, adapt, and evolve in dynamic environments. Think of it as a critical framework for understanding how AI agents behave under complex conditions and uncertainties. Let's unpack it step by step. At its core, PISA is rooted in a powerful mathematical framework called spectral decomposition. This framework is like the DNA of complex systems. It breaks down the seemingly chaotic behavior of AI into structured, interpretable components. By leveraging this, PISA provides deep insights into how AI systems evolve over time and how their probabilistic states shift under different scenarios. For example, imagine observing a swarm of drones navigating through unpredictable wind currents. PISA helps us understand not just where each drone is going, but also the collective behavior of the entire swarm. It analyzes the evolution of these dynamics by approximating what we call the Markov transfer operator, a critical piece for predicting future states of such systems. Now, here's where things get technical, but don't worry, I've got you covered. PISA employs an alternating optimization process. Think of this as a back and forth negotiation between two key elements of the AI system. Theta. This parameter tunes how the system interprets external inputs, like data from sensors or human interactions. Gamma. This one adjusts how the system forecasts its next steps. These parameters are computed through neural networks, creating a dynamic loop of predictions and adjustments. The end result? A system that gets better and better at predicting future states and aligning its behavior with desired outcomes. Here's a relatable analogy. Imagine you're learning to ride a bike for the first time. Your brain, like the AI, constantly adjusts its balance, theta, and speed, gamma, based on how you feel the bike wobbling or accelerating. Over time, you perfect the skill, and that's essentially what PISA is doing for AI systems. So what does all this mean in the real world? PISA has been a game changer in multiple AI-driven scenarios. Unicycle robots. Remember those cool one-wheeled robots? PISA has been instrumental in predicting their behavior and ensuring they maintain stability, even in challenging terrains. Pedestrian movement. Prediction. Think about crowded city streets. PISA analyzes the behavior of pedestrians, predicting how they'll move and helping autonomous vehicles navigate safely. Generative models. It's even applied in creating AI systems capable of simulating human-like behaviors, which is critical for applications like gaming or social robots. By accurately predicting these behaviors, PISA ensures that AI systems are not just reactive, but proactive in handling complex, real-world dynamics. The beauty of PISA lies in its ability to bridge the gap between theoretical mathematics and practical AI applications. It doesn't just focus on what's happening right now, but also anticipates what's likely to happen next. This is a huge leap forward for AI systems that need to operate autonomously, like self-driving cars, drones, and robotics in unpredictable environments. Let's move to the next slide and explore how these predictions translate into actionable insights through numerical verifications and experiments. Get ready, it's about to get even more exciting. Let's talk numbers. Now, I know what you're thinking. Numbers? Really? I didn't sign up for a math class. But hang tight because this is where the magic happens. Think of this as the part where we stop theorizing and finally ask, does this thing actually work? Numerical verification is like testing out a new recipe. Sure, the cookbook says it's foolproof, but until you bake that cake and see if it doesn't collapse in the oven, you don't really know. So let's check if PISA lives up to the hype. First up, let's talk about these futuristic one-wheeled wonders, unicycle robots. They look like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but the science behind them is real. These robots rely on PISA to predict their movements and maintain balance even in tricky situations. Imagine a robot cruising down a bumpy road, wind blowing sideways, and a toddler suddenly stepping in front of it. PISA helps the robot think, okay, let's not wipe out or scare the kid. Time to adjust. Through rigorous testing, researchers used numerical experiments to ensure these robots don't just spin in circles or crash into walls. It's like watching a circus act, but with way more math. Next, let's zoom into the chaos of a crowded city street. People crossing randomly, some glued to their phones, others speed walking like they're late for a meeting. For an AI agent, this is a nightmare scenario. But with PISA, it's not just guessing where people will move. It's predicting crowd flow and individual trajectories. In one experiment, PISA was applied to the UCY pedestrian dataset. This dataset is like a goldmine of pedestrian behavior, recording how humans walk, stop, and sometimes do completely unpredictable things, like stopping mid-sidewalk to tie their shoe. PISA analyzed this data to predict patterns, and the results were so accurate, it almost felt like AI had psychic powers. Now here's where things get competitive. PISA went head-to-head against other methods like Meng's approach 2022 and Zhao and Jiang's DPDD 2023. It's like a scientific showdown. Think PISA versus the world. The results? PISA came out on top, especially when it came to long-term predictions. Why? Because it can handle high-dimensional chaotic systems much better than traditional models. So, while others might stumble in the chaos, PISA thrives in it, making it the gold standard for behavior prediction. All right, now for the fun part. What kind of tech are we talking about here? The experiments ran on some serious hardware. Intel i9-99900K CPUs and NVIDIA Quadro RTX 4000 GPUs. These aren't your typical laptops. This is high-performance gear that can crunch thousands of trajectories at once. Imagine running a simulation where thousands of agents, robots, pedestrians, you name it, are all interacting in real time. The sheer computational power is like having a Formula One car for a brain, blazing fast and razor sharp. And with this setup, PISA's predictions were tested, retested, and proven reliable under various complex scenarios. If PISA were a student in school, it wouldn't just pass, it'd ace the test, win a scholarship, and probably get voted most likely to succeed. The numerical verification proves that PISA isn't just theoretical, it works in real-world scenarios where precision is everything. Let's roll to the next slide, where we'll take a deeper dive into performance comparisons and see how PISA's rivals stack up. Spoiler alert, it's going to get competitive. It's fight night. In one corner we have PISA, the innovative data-driven heavyweight, and in the other corner we've got the reigning champions, Meng et al. On 2022 and Dynamic Probability Density Decomposition, DPDD. This is the showdown we've all been waiting for, science style. Let's dive in. Here's the deal. Meng and DPDD have been reliable contenders in the ring of prediction methods for a while, but when it comes to long-term accuracy, PISA steps into the spotlight like a star player. Think of it like a marathon. Meng et al. Might sprint ahead in the first few miles with its linearity assumptions, but as the race drags on, it starts to stumble. Why? Because chaos isn't linear, and PISA knows that. With its spectral decomposition framework, PISA thrives where others flounder. The results? PISA consistently outperforms its competitors, especially when predictions need to hold strong over extended horizons. Here's a scenario. Imagine you're trying to predict the weather in a storm. Wind, rain, air pressure. It's a high-dimensional mess. Most methods like Meng rely on simplifying assumptions to get by. But PISA is like the supercomputer of weather forecasters. It doesn't shy away from chaos, it embraces it. By incorporating spectral decomposition, PISA dives deep into high-dimensional systems and uncovers patterns others miss. This isn't just about being better, it's about being capable of handling the unpredictable. So, while other methods might drown in the complexity, PISA rides the storm like a pro. Now let's talk about something that often gets overlooked, interpretability. It's great if a method gives accurate results, but can it tell you why it made those predictions? This is where PISA shines. Mung and DPDD are like that friend who tells you, just trust me, I'm right. PISA, on the other hand, walks you through every step of the process. Thanks to its use of spectral decomposition, PISA breaks down the dynamics of complex systems into understandable components, making it easier for researchers to see not just the what, but the why. Let's face it, one size doesn't fit all. Whether you're dealing with unicycle robots, pedestrian movement, or generative models, each application requires a unique approach. PISA's flexibility makes it the Swiss Army knife of prediction methods. Its ability to adjust to non-Markovian dynamics, adapt to high-dimensional systems, and optimize its hyperparameters puts it leagues ahead. Mung and DPDD might work fine in simpler, more structured environments, but in the real world, PISA takes the crown. But hey, let's be fair. PISA isn't perfect. Its reliance on spectral decomposition means it's sensitive to the number of basis functions used. Too few and the predictions lose accuracy. Too many and things get computationally expensive. It's a balancing act, and careful tuning is essential. Meanwhile, methods like Meng might struggle with flexibility, but their simplicity makes them computationally efficient. So while PISA might be the star player, it still needs the right setup to shine. Drum roll, please. PISA takes the win. With superior accuracy, high dimensional flexibility, and unmatched interpretability, it's the clear choice for tackling the challenges of modern AI systems. Sure, it has its quirks, but in the chaotic, unpredictable world of AI behavior, PISA is the champion we need. We've danced around the chaos, tackled unpredictability, and crowned a few champions. Now it's time to take a step back, grab our statistical magnifying glass, and say, okay, AI, what's really going on with your behavior? Let's get into the weeds and see how the statistical behavior perspective helps us make sense of the madness. You're watching a flock of birds in the sky. Individually, each bird is doing its own thing, flapping, turning, diving. But as a group, they seem to move with one mind. It's not random. It's statistical behavior at play. This same principle applies to AI agents. Individually, their trajectories might look chaotic, but when you analyze them collectively, patterns start to emerge. So how do we analyze this flock behavior of AI? Enter our trusty sidekick, the Fokker-Planck Equation, a mathematical tool from statistical mechanics. This bad boy lets us track the evolution of probability density functions, PDFs, over time. In simpler terms, it's like saying, hey, what's the likelihood this AI agent ends up here versus there? This isn't just about crunching numbers. It's about understanding the flow of possibilities. By applying the Fokker-Planck equation to AI agents, we can see how their statistical behavior changes, giving us insight into their decision-making process. Now let's zoom out. If we analyze each agent's individual path, we'll get lost in the noise. But by looking at multiple independent trajectories, kind of like overlaying 100 different bird flocks on top of each other, we can identify collective behavior. Why does this matter? Because understanding these collective dynamics helps us build better models, especially in noisy environments where randomness plays a huge role. It's like understanding traffic. Studying one car doesn't help, but looking at all the cars on the highway? Now we're getting somewhere. Here's the exciting part. When we get a grip on statistical behavior, we open the door to predictive modeling. Imagine you're designing an AI system for autonomous driving. Knowing where one car might go is useful, but knowing where all the cars might go is game-changing. By focusing on terminal distributions, where agents are likely to end up, and stationary states, the default resting behavior, predictive modeling becomes a lot more accurate. This isn't just about making smarter AI. It's about creating systems that align with human values, ensure safety, and maximize efficiency. And in critical domains like autonomous driving or human-robot interaction, this understanding can literally save lives. Here's what it boils down to. Statistical behavior analysis gives us the ability to see the forest, not just the trees. It helps us take chaotic, individual actions and turn them into meaningful, predictable patterns. Whether we're modeling crowds, robots, or AI agents, this approach is our best shot at untangling the complex, dynamic environments they operate in. Now that we've peeked into the statistical crystal ball, let's take things up a notch. On the next slide, we're diving into kernel density estimation, KDE, a technique that smooths out the chaos and gives us a clearer picture of probability distributions. Trust me, you won't want to miss this one. You're hosting the party of the decade. People are flooding in, conversations are buzzing, and your playlist is absolute fire. You're not just the host, you're the heartbeat of the event, orchestrating every move. You've created the perfect environment, but there's a secret challenge you're curious about. At the end of the night, you want to know, where did everyone hang out? Was the DJ booth the center of attention? Did people linger around the bar? Did they dance in groups? Or did some guests sneak off to quieter corners? Here's the twist. You didn't just watch them, you tracked them. Every step they took left a mark on your party map. You're not just curious about who went where, you want to visualize the movement trends and figure out where the action was concentrated. Enter kernel density estimation, KDE. Your behind-the-scenes party detective. It transforms the scattered chaos of everyone's movements into smooth, meaningful insights about where people actually clustered. And that's exactly what we do in the world of AI, using KDE to analyze behavior and patterns. So, what exactly is KDE? It's a statistical method that helps us estimate a probability density function, PDF, for a random variable based on a finite set of samples. Essentially, it takes a bunch of scattered data points, in our case, AI agent trajectories, and smooths them out to provide a clear picture of where things are happening. Think of it as the difference between a random pile of confetti and a beautiful map showing the hotspots of the party. KDE uses kernels, which are like tiny probability bells, to overlay each point and create a continuous, smoothed-out density map. But what does this mean in practice? KDE isn't just about where individual points are, it's about where the density is highest. For example, at your party, KDE wouldn't just say, here's where people stood at one point. It would say, here's where the energy was flowing, where the most people were gathered, and how their movements formed patterns. Now let's take this party analogy and step into the realm of AI behavior analysis, as outlined in slide 19. Imagine AI agents as your party guests, moving through their environment. They make decisions, follow paths, and interact with their surroundings. But to design smarter AI, we need to analyze those movements. KDE lets us estimate the underlying density of data points from their trajectories, showing us not just the actions, but the patterns, hotspots, and likelihoods of their behaviors. Here's why this matters. In AI-driven systems, such as autonomous vehicles, robots, or predictive models, understanding where the action is concentrated is critical. Take the example from your slide. A data set of 3,000 trajectories is used to analyze and predict the density of states over time. By applying KDE, researchers can smooth out these data points into a comprehensive picture, enabling AI to make smarter decisions. For instance, KDE can reveal if AI agents are clustering in certain areas, repeating inefficient behaviors, or successfully navigating their environment. And KDE isn't just a theoretical concept. The technique is practical and robust, playing a pivotal role in motion planning, reinforcement learning, and predictive modeling. Think about an autonomous car navigating a busy city street. It's like a guest at a chaotic party. KDE helps that car see where the density of pedestrians and other vehicles is highest, smoothing out the randomness and noise of individual trajectories to predict the most likely paths and avoid collisions. Key Insight 1, the Gaussian kernel. Your slide highlights that the Gaussian kernel is commonly employed in KDE for its smooth, bell-shaped properties. It's like saying, this is where each data point has the most influence, creating overlapping densities that form a cohesive, smooth curve. This makes KDE incredibly effective in drawing clear insights from noisy data. Key insight 2, high dimensionality. Of course, real-world data isn't just about 2 or 3 dimensions. It's complex, high-dimensional, and messy. KDE adapts to this challenge, smoothing out the density function across multiple dimensions. For AI, this is invaluable, whether it's tracking pedestrian trajectories in crowded city datasets or monitoring drones in a swarm. KDE scales to match the problem's complexity. At this point, you're probably wondering, why is KDE so important for AI? The answer lies in its ability to enhance interpretability and accuracy. It bridges the gap between raw data and meaningful insights. For example, in reinforcement learning, KDE helps us model and predict stationary distributions, which are crucial for understanding how agents behave over time. If we're training an AI to optimize its behavior, whether it's a robotic arm or an autonomous vehicle, KDE provides the map that shows us the hotspots of activity, the patterns that matter, and the areas to focus on. So, whether you're analyzing AI agents at work or just trying to make sense of your guests at the best party of the year, KDE is your go-to tool for turning raw data into actionable insights. With its ability to capture the big picture without losing the details, it's no wonder KDE has become a cornerstone in AI behavior analysis. And that's how we turn scattered trajectories into a symphony of insights. Ready to dive into how this is applied to Markov transfer operators and beyond? Let's keep going. So we just talked about kernel density estimation, KDE, and how it's like hosting the ultimate party, transforming the chaotic movements of your guests into an elegant map of where the action is. But let me ask you this. What if, instead of just guessing where the crowd might be, you wanted to know for certain? What if you could capture the exact layout of your party at any given moment, like a snapshot frozen in time, but with enough depth to predict how the rest of the night might unfold? Enter the empirical probability distribution, your party's official data-driven guest list, complete with their location, how they're moving, and how it all connects. If KDE is about estimating trends and smoothing the mess, this is about building a more specific framework to predict what happens next. Think of it as moving from a hazy heat map to a sharper, more reliable understanding of the crowd's behavior. Here's how it works. Empirical probability distributions are built on data, real, observable, and undeniable. They take the finite samples you've gathered, like the trajectories of 3,000 AI agents we mentioned in the last slide, and use them to construct a model that represents the actual behavior of the system. KDE gave us a smooth estimation, but now we're refining that into something more actionable. We're saying, this is where the density lives, and here's what that means. Why is this important? Because in AI-driven systems, uncertainty and randomness are everywhere. Imagine an autonomous car navigating a busy intersection. Pedestrian movements are unpredictable. Weather conditions change. Other cars act irrationally. The system needs a reliable understanding of what's likely to happen next. That's where the empirical distribution comes into play. It captures not just trends, but actual probabilities, allowing for smarter decisions. Now, let's break it down into 3 critical pieces. The KDE overview. This serves as the foundation. The empirical probability distribution builds on KDE, smoothing observed data points to represent the density across the system. But here we're moving beyond estimation. We're defining a more precise probability function from the raw data. The choice of kernel parameters. This is like fine-tuning your party playlist. Just like you'd adjust the vibe of your party with the perfect music mix, choosing the right kernel type and bandwidth is crucial here. A smaller bandwidth might overfit the data, capturing noise like those rowdy guests dancing off beat. A larger bandwidth might oversmooth, hiding critical details. The goal is balance. clear enough to highlight the important features without drowning in the chaos. And the practical considerations, this is where it gets real. High dimensional data, like that in AI applications, can make the estimation process incredibly tricky. It's like trying to organize a party with 1,000 rooms and figuring out where everyone is at once. The curse of dimensionality can make it hard to balance precision with generality. Careful tuning of the kernel parameters and ensuring robust data collection become essential here. So the transition is clear. From KDE's smooth probability estimations, we now dive deeper into how empirical distributions give us a sharper and more actionable view. It's all about taking that heat map from the party and turning it into a dynamic decision-making tool for real-world AI applications. And here's the key takeaway. It's not just about understanding the data, it's about making smarter, faster predictions with it. Whether you're hosting a party, building a robot, or designing autonomous systems, empirical probability distributions are the foundation for creating actionable insights that lead to better outcomes. Doesn't it sound like an epic synthesizer? I mean, seriously, Van der Pol Oscillator just screams cutting-edge music gear from the future. You can almost imagine it sitting in a DJ's studio, knobs turned to 11, pulsing with electric beats as the crowd goes wild. But here's the twist. This oscillator isn't just for music. It's the ultimate rhythm master for understanding nonlinear dynamics in complex systems. Here's the story. The Van der Pol Oscillator is a dynamical system with a unique talent. Imagine a dancer in a chaotic crowd, spinning and flailing, only to find their perfect rhythm that others begin to follow. That's what this oscillator does. It takes unpredictable, nonlinear behaviors and settles them into steady cyclical patterns. These patterns, known as stable limit cycles, make it an essential model for understanding real-world systems. Why does this matter? AO, you ask. First, modeling real-world dynamics. Think of how your heart beats. It's not a perfect clock. It speeds up, slows down, and adjusts to your body's needs. The Van der Pol oscillator is used to study systems like this, dynamic, adaptable, and sometimes chaotic, providing insight into how they stabilize over time. It's used in everything from biology to engineering. Second, AI applications. When applied to AI, the Van der Pol oscillator helps analyze how agents interact with dynamic environments. For example, imagine teaching a robot to navigate a busy, chaotic intersection. Using oscillatory principles, it learns how to predict patterns and adjust its behavior, ensuring smooth and reliable performance. And it is also a peek into stability. This oscillator shows us something profound. Stability often comes from chaos. Systems like this model how seemingly random, unpredictable processes can evolve into something stable and predictable. It's a lesson for AI systems and even for life on how to adapt to complex situations and emerge resilient. Here's what makes the Van der Pol oscillator truly awesome. It gives us a window into how systems evolve, how patterns emerge, and how control can be achieved in a chaotic world. It's not just for scientists. It's a concept that drives innovation in everything from medicine to AI, and yes, maybe even music someday. All right, let's get real for a second. The loss function is the heart and soul of PISA. It's the electric guitar in the rock band of machine learning. Without it, we're just a group of people awkwardly clapping along to a drum beat, hoping something magical happens. But with it, oh, we're shredding solos, melting faces, and creating pure harmony out of chaos. And today, we're about to crank the amp up to 11. The loss function is what turns noise into music, chaos into clarity. If you've ever wondered how PISA takes raw data and turns it into predictions that actually make sense, it's all thanks to this powerhouse. Let me break it down for you. Density prediction accuracy. Think of this as the difference between a guitar solo that gives you goosebumps and one that makes you say, wait, is this guy just tuning? The loss function ensures that the model hits the right notes, calculating how far off the predictions are and relentlessly fine-tuning them until it's pitch perfect. And orthogonality enforcement. Here's where it gets fun. Imagine if every band member decided to play their own solo at the same time. It'd be like a musical car crash, right? That's what orthogonality solves. It makes sure the learned functions, or musical notes, don't clash with each other. Instead, they're perfectly synchronized, creating harmony even in the most chaotic data sets. Let us balancing short-term and long-term goals. Here's the tricky part. A good guitar riff can light up the stage for a moment, but a true masterpiece builds over time, pulling you in and leaving you breathless by the end. That's what the loss function does. It balances short-term prediction accuracy with long-term stability. It's like crafting a set list for a legendary concert, knowing when to hit the highs and when to slow it down for that epic encore. Without the loss function, PISA would be like that one guy at the karaoke night who thinks he's crushing Bon Jovi, but is actually just screaming into the mic. No direction, no structure, just pure chaos. The loss function steps in like the ultimate band manager, saying, all right, folks, let's get it together. You stop freestyling, you tone it down, and you let's bring in some balance. Here's something no one will tell you. The loss function doesn't get enough love. It's like the bassist of the band, quietly holding everything together while the lead guitarist gets all the attention. But let's be real, without it, the whole thing falls apart faster than a group of friends trying to split a bill at dinner, and don't let the fancy math jargon scare you off. All the loss function really wants is to minimize problems. It's like the therapist of the model saying, tell me where it hurts so we can fix it together. Except, this therapist doesn't charge $200 an hour. Not bad, right? Now here's where it gets interesting. The loss function doesn't settle for okay results. It's like that one friend who's always saying, let's one-up this. It pushes the model to constantly improve, adapt, and dominate. It's the driving force behind why PISA can predict things like pedestrian movements or rocket trajectories better than your GPS predicts traffic. So the next time someone says loss, don't think of it as a bad thing. Think of it as the foundation of greatness, the reason we can build systems that actually work. Just like every great metal band owes its sound to the guitar, every great model owes its success to the loss function. All right, let's set the scene. Imagine you're at a legendary concert. The lights dim, the crowd roars, and suddenly the music kicks in. But here's the thing. It's not just one instrument. It's an orchestra of perfectly synchronized sound with every instrument playing its part to create magic. That's what neural networks are in PISA. They're the band members of AI, each with a role in making the system work like a finely tuned machine. In PISA, there are two neural networks, like the lead guitarist and the bassist of a rock band. One is responsible for modeling the density parameters, and the other handles trajectory functions. Together, they work in harmony to ensure the model captures patterns and behaviors from data. Each network has hidden layers, which you can think of as the sound engineers working behind the scenes. These layers pick up on the subtle patterns in the data, things that wouldn't be obvious at first glance, and amplify them into something meaningful. They're like the band's backstage crew, making sure every detail is perfect before the show starts. Now picture this, you've got a band jamming in a garage. At first it's chaos, the drummer's off beat, the guitarist's out of tune, and the bassist isn't sure what they're supposed to be doing. That's what happens when the neural networks are just getting started. Enter the optimizer, PISA's equivalent of a legendary music producer. It steps in, says, all right folks, let's fix this, and starts fine-tuning everything. It adjusts the parameters of the networks, ensuring that every part is working together in harmony. Over time, the band goes from messy garage jams to headlining a world tour. Here's how neural networks bring PISA to life. They start by analyzing raw data, like a band listening to a rough demo. The hidden layers pick out the key features, separating signal from noise. Imagine isolating the bass line from a messy recording. Finally, the optimizer refines the performance, ensuring the networks consistently deliver accurate predictions. But it's not without its challenges. Let's talk about those. Even the best bands have their struggles, and neural networks are no different. Hyperparameter. Sensitivity. Think of this as tuning your guitar strings. Too loose and you're off key, too tight and the strings snap. Hyperparameters control how the networks learn, and if they're not set just right, the whole system can fall apart. Overfitting. Imagine a band playing exclusively for one fan in the front row. Sure, that fan is thrilled, but the rest of the audience is confused. That's what happens when a network overfits. It gets so focused on the training data that it forgets how to generalize for real-world scenarios, balancing short-term and long-term goals. Good bands know when to play a fast song to pump up the crowd and when to slow it down for a ballad. Neural networks face the same challenge. They need to balance immediate accuracy with long-term stability. At the end of the day, neural networks are the backbone of PISA. They're what take raw, messy data and transform it into something actionable. By combining precision with adaptability, they ensure the system can handle complex, chaotic environments and deliver reliable results. Neural networks are the unsung heroes, quietly working behind the scenes, constantly improving and making it all look effortless. Without them, PISA would be like a band missing its instruments. All ideas, no execution. Now let's move on to the next slide and see how this all connects to the bigger picture. The show's not over yet. Let's keep going. So, for all of you out there with your big brain hats on, let's do a quick recap. By now, you've probably figured out that AI agents are basically prediction machines. Everything they do, from navigating traffic to recommending your next binge-worthy TV show, boils down to one thing: making the best possible predictions about what's going to happen next. And guess what? We're about to take this predictive power to a whole new level. Imagine this. You're driving on a busy highway. You're not just reacting to what's right in front of you. You're constantly predicting. Will that car switch lanes? Is the traffic ahead slowing down? Will you make it home before your favorite pizza place closes? AI agents do the same thing, but instead of instincts or years of driving experience, they rely on mathematical models and data-driven insights. Every action they take is based on probabilities and predictions. Where is this object going to move? What's the best decision to achieve my goal? What's the likelihood of success if I take this action versus that one? Here's the thing about predictions. They're not just about figuring out what might happen next. They're about adapting to uncertainty in real time. And in a world full of randomness and chaos, being able to predict isn't just smart, it's essential. Take self-driving cars, for example. These AI agents are constantly predicting the behavior of other drivers, pedestrians, and even the weather. If they couldn't do that, they'd be stuck at every intersection, waiting for the chaos to make sense. Predictions are what make them confident, agile, and effective. Here's how predictions actually happen in AI agents. Let's us observing the environment. The first step is collecting data. Sensors, cameras, and inputs from the environment are the agent's way of looking around and saying, okay, what's going on here? Are you ready to running the numbers? Next, the agent uses probabilistic models to analyze all that data. It's crunching numbers, calculating probabilities, and figuring out the most likely outcomes. NEW the best part, choosing the best action. Finally, the agent picks an action based on those predictions. Whether it's a self-driving car deciding to merge or a warehouse robot figuring out the fastest route to its next package, every move is backed by a prediction. Let's bring this into the real world. Autonomous vehicles. Imagine driving in a snow. The AI agent predicts how slippery the road is, how other cars are likely to behave, and even whether that stoplight ahead is going to turn yellow. Healthcare AI agents predict patient outcomes like the likelihood of a successful surgery or how a treatment plan might evolve over time. These predictions are literally saving lives. AI in finance, predicting stock prices, market trends, even how human traders will react to certain events. It's all about staying one step ahead in a high-stakes environment. Now, here's the big question. What's the next level for these predictions? How do we push AI agents to predict more accurately, adapt more flexibly, and perform even better in unpredictable environments? That's what we're diving into next. We've talked about the tools, the frameworks, and the models. Now it's time to see how all of this comes together to make AI smarter, faster, and more reliable than ever. Let's keep going. We are somewhere in the early 1900s, and you're sitting in a dimly lit workshop. All around you are scraps of metal, coils of wire, and blueprints scattered everywhere. You've been working on something revolutionary, something that could change the world. The first airplane. You're inspired by the idea that humans could one day fly, but you're also battling against gravity, physics, and the very limits of human ingenuity. Every piece you add, every bolt you tighten, has to work in harmony with the others. There's no room for guesswork. Every step has to be calculated, tested, and refined. That's how the Wright brothers made history. Now, fast forward to today. We're not building airplanes anymore. Well, okay, we are. But in the world of AI, we're building something just as revolutionary. Instead of defying gravity, we're mastering predictions. Instead of crafting wings, we're designing algorithms. And just like the Wright brothers had to fine-tune every detail to get their invention off the ground, the PISA algorithm follows the same approach to make AI soar to new heights. Just like inventors carefully draft their designs, PISA starts by laying down the framework. What are we trying to achieve? What are the key components? This is the part where we set our parameters, define the structure, and prepare for what's to come. It's not glamorous. It's not the shiny first flight moment. But without this step, the whole thing falls apart. Think of it as the nuts and bolts that hold the dream together. Here's where it gets exciting. You've built your airplane or your algorithm, and now it's time to test it. But let's be real, the first few flights are going to crash. That's just part of the process. PISA doesn't just take off perfectly on the first try. It runs through countless iterations, learning from every error, every wobble, every unexpected gust of wind. It's the same grit and determination that inventors have relied on for centuries. Test, fail, fix, repeat. Midway through the process, something isn't quite right. Maybe the wings need to be angled differently, or the engine isn't powerful enough. Instead of scrapping the whole project, you adapt. PISA is a master of mid-flight adjustments. It tweaks its parameters, fine-tunes its calculations, and makes sure that every single component is working together seamlessly. It's the difference between a rough prototype and a groundbreaking innovation. After countless tests and adjustments, it's time for the final leap. The Wright brothers held their breath as they watched their plane take off for the first sustained flight. PISA does the same. It runs its convergence check, ensuring that everything is locked in and ready to go. And when it works, when everything comes together, it's a moment of triumph. You've created something that's not just functional, it's transformational. The spirit of invention is alive in PISA. It's a story of persistence, ingenuity, and the pursuit of perfection. And just like the Wright brothers didn't stop with one flight, PISA doesn't stop with one success. It keeps evolving, improving, and pushing the boundaries of what AI can do. So, are you ready to see where this innovation takes us next? Let's dive in. Imagine it's the 1960s. The space race is in full swing. The United States and the Soviet Union are battling for the ultimate bragging rights to be the first to conquer the moon. The stakes couldn't be higher. It's a race not just for science, but for national pride. Now picture this. NASA's Mission Control Room is buzzing. Engineers hunch over computers the size of refrigerators, slide rules in hand, sweat dripping down their faces. The Apollo lunar module is minutes from its descent. Every second counts. One wrong move and it's not just a failed mission, it's lives lost and a global audience watching disaster unfold. And yet, against all odds, humanity lands on the moon for the first time. It's nothing short of a miracle born from math, science, and sheer determination. Fast forward to today, and the moon is once again the center of attention. But this time, the game has changed. China has launched their Chang'e program, proving they're serious about lunar exploration. It's no longer just about who gets there first, it's about who can master the moon. And this time, AI is taking center stage. Here's the challenge. Landing on the moon isn't just about pointing a rocket and hoping for the best. It's an intricate dance with physics. You've got to account for gravity, unpredictable terrain, limited fuel, and even things like lunar dust clouds that can block visibility. It's the ultimate tightrope walk of space exploration, except your safety net is 384,000 kilometers away. This is where AI comes in. Today, the lunar lander problem is like a playground for reinforcement learning. Imagine the lander as a student in the toughest class ever. Its job? Learn how to land softly, precisely, and safely on the moon's surface. And its only feedback? Pass or fail. There's no halfway credit here. You either stick the landing or you crash. Period. Let's talk about PISA, the AI framework that's rewriting the rules of lunar landings. Unlike the Apollo days where humans micromanage every calculation, modern AI landers learn by simulating thousands of landing scenarios. They explore every possibility from what if we run out of fuel to what happens if we hit a rock at an angle. Here's a fun way to think about it. Imagine you're trying to learn how to skateboard. On your first try, you fall. On your second, you fall again, but maybe less hard. By your 1,000th attempt, you're grinding rails and landing tricks. That's PISA, but on steroids. It doesn't just learn, it perfects. What makes PISA such a game changer is its ability to think ahead. It doesn't just calculate the best landing path, it anticipates the challenges along the way. It accounts for density predictions, fuel efficiency, and even the unexpected, like uneven terrain or sudden changes in conditions. It's not just playing checkers, it's playing chess, 3 steps ahead of the competition. And here's the kicker. The algorithm analyzes over 3,000 simulated trajectories, each one teaching the lander something new. By the end of the training, the AI doesn't just kind of know how to land, it dominates the process. Dust storms, rocks, gravity anomalies. PISA is ready for it all. Here's the wild part. The lunar lander problem isn't just about the moon. The same principles apply to autonomous cars navigating busy streets, drones delivering packages, or even robots performing surgeries. Anywhere decisions need to be made in unpredictable environments, this technology shines. So, when you hear about the next big moon mission, remember, it's not just about rockets and astronauts anymore, it's about the AI that's making it all possible. The moon may still be a frontier, but thanks to PISA, we're not just exploring it, we're mastering it. And that's just the beginning. Let's dive into what's next on this incredible journey. All right, buckle up, because this story is going to take you right into the chaos and beauty of urban environments. Imagine this. It's rush hour in a sprawling city like Tokyo or New York. The streets are alive, noisy, unpredictable, and teeming with life. Pedestrians dart across crosswalks, cyclists weave through traffic like acrobats, and cars inch forward in an endless sea of brake lights. It's a symphony of motion, but let's be real. It's also a massive, beautiful mess. Now let's zoom in. Look at a single crosswalk. What do you see? A parent pushing a stroller, a jogger with their headphones on, a teenager skateboarding past an elderly couple who's taking their sweet time. Everyone is moving to their own rhythm, and yet somehow it works. Nobody's bumping into each other, well, most of the time, and the city keeps moving forward. Here's the wild part. This seemingly chaotic dance of people and vehicles isn't random at all. Beneath the surface, there are patterns, subtle, almost invisible flows that dictate how people move in urban spaces. And believe it or not, understanding those flows is one of the greatest challenges in AI research today. Enter the UCY pedestrian dataset. Think about it. For AI to work in urban environments, whether it's for self-driving cars, delivery drones, or city planning, it needs to predict human behavior. And not just predict it in a here's where they are now kind of way, but in a where will they be in 5 seconds kind of way. Why? Because urban environments are unpredictable, and one wrong calculation could mean disaster. A self-driving car can't slam on the brakes every time someone looks like they might cross the street. It has to know the UCY dataset is like a treasure chest for researchers tackling this problem. Collected from real urban environments, it's filled with videos and data that track how pedestrians move, how they stop, start, swerve, and navigate the chaos. It's like studying the secret choreography of a city. And this is where PISA comes into play. Remember how we talked about AI landing on the moon? Now, imagine that same level of precision, but applied to predicting how people move in a city. PISA analyzes the data from the UCY dataset not just to understand individual movements, but to predict the density of pedestrians in an area over time. Instead of guessing where a single person might go, it calculates the overall flow, like predicting where the currents in a river will take you. Here's why that's important. Pedestrian behavior isn't just about where someone is. It's about how they interact with everyone else. Think about that crosswalk again. If one person suddenly stops to tie their shoe, it can create a ripple effect, forcing others to swerve around them. PISA's job is to model those ripples, to predict not just the individual, but the collective movement of the crowd. Here's an analogy for you. Imagine being in a packed concert. The music's blasting, everyone's dancing, and suddenly someone in the middle spills their drink. You don't need to be psychic to know what happens next. People step aside, space opens up, and the flow of the crowd shifts. Now scale that up to a city, and you'll get an idea of what PISA is tackling. It's not just about avoiding accidents, it's about making cities smarter, safer, and more efficient. The applications are endless. Self-driving cars that can navigate busy streets without a hitch. Urban planning that designs crosswalks and bike lanes based on how people actually move. Drones that can deliver packages without colliding with pedestrians. PISA's ability to understand and predict pedestrian behavior is the key to unlocking these possibilities. But here's the kicker. Cities aren't static. They're living, breathing organisms. What works today might not work tomorrow, and that's why AI like PISA is so revolutionary. It doesn't just follow a script, it adapts, learns, and evolves alongside the city itself. So, the next time you're in the middle of a bustling city, take a moment to appreciate the organized chaos around you. And remember, behind every safe crosswalk, every smooth commute, and every efficient delivery, there's a story like this one, a story of AI learning to make sense of our beautifully unpredictable world. Let's dive deeper into how this works. You've seen the data, you've felt the pulse of those urban environments, and now it's time to get into what really makes all of this work: prediction. Because let's face it, knowing what's already happened is helpful, but knowing what's going to happen, that's where the magic lies. You're standing at a busy intersection, people are crossing from every direction, bikes are zipping by, and a delivery drone is hovering above trying to figure out where to land. Now imagine you have the ability to see the future. Not 10 years ahead, just 10 seconds. That's all you need to avoid a collision, take the smoothest route, or land that package exactly where it's supposed to go. That's the power of prediction, and it's what AI systems like PISA are designed to master. Here's the catch. Predicting pedestrian movement isn't like predicting the weather. People are unpredictable. They don't follow rigid patterns. They don't move like robots. Someone might stop to tie their shoe, change direction because they spotted a friend, or even decide to jaywalk because, well, they're in a rush. And then there's the interaction factor. People react to each other. A crowded sidewalk isn't just individuals walking. It's a dynamic dance where everyone adjusts to everyone else. This brings us to the challenges of prediction. Traditional models often assume people move in predictable straight lines, what we call Markovian dynamics. But in reality, life's way messier. Pedestrians don't always follow the rules, and their paths are influenced by 1,000 little factors: their mood, the weather, how crowded the street is. That's where PISA's prediction framework comes in, and it's a game changer. Unlike traditional models, PISA doesn't just assume people follow simple patterns. It accounts for the randomness, the chaos. We call this non-Markovian dynamics. It's the idea that what someone does next isn't just based on where they are now. It's influenced by their past actions, the people around them, and even their environment. For example, imagine someone weaving through a crowd. They're not just randomly zigzagging, they're reacting to openings, avoiding collisions, and maybe even rushing to catch the subway. PISA captures these subtleties by modeling not just individuals, but the collective behavior of crowds. It predicts how the density of pedestrians will evolve, taking into account the messiness of real life. Here's another challenge: stochasticity. That's just a fancy way of saying randomness. Pedestrian behavior is inherently unpredictable. Someone might suddenly speed up, slow down, or make an unexpected turn. This randomness is a huge headache for traditional prediction models, but PISA thrives on it. By analyzing vast amounts of data, it learns to anticipate the unexpected. It's like having a GPS that doesn't just tell you the fastest route, but also warns you about the guy who's about to jaywalk in front of your car. So, how does PISA handle all this complexity? By looking at the big picture. Instead of focusing on individual trajectories, it models the density evolution of pedestrians. Think of it like predicting the flow of water in a river. You don't need to know where every single drop will go. You just need to understand the overall currents. That's what PISA does. It predicts the movement of crowds as a whole, allowing AI systems to adapt in real time. This is crucial for applications like self-driving cars and delivery drones, where split-second decisions can make all the difference. PISA's ability to predict density evolution means it can guide these systems through even the busiest, most unpredictable urban environments. So, why should you care about all this? Because this isn't just about AI. It's about the future of cities, transportation, and the way we live our lives. Imagine a world where traffic jams are a thing of the past, because AI predicts and manages the flow of vehicles and pedestrians. A world where delivery drones never miss their mark, and self-driving cars glide effortlessly through crowded streets. That's the world PISA is building, one prediction at a time. Let's keep diving deeper to see how this all comes together. Let's set the stage for a high-stakes prediction challenge using the UCY pedestrian dataset. This is where the real action happens. Picture a bustling urban environment. Pedestrians weaving through a crosswalk, cyclists zooming by, and random street vendors adding their own chaos to the mix. Predicting movement here isn't just tough, it's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube while riding a roller coaster, and that's the challenge on the table. In the blue corner, the exponential model, a veteran of the prediction game, known for its speed and simplicity. In the red corner, PISA, the new heavyweight champion, designed to handle the chaos and complexity of the real world. Let's see who comes out on top in this ultimate movement prediction showdown. The exponential model bursts out of the gate, and it's fast, no doubt about it. For short-term predictions, like estimating where a single pedestrian will be in the next few seconds, it performs decently. It assumes people move in predictable, straight paths, easy to calculate, quick to execute. Imagine a lightly populated crosswalk. For scenarios like that, the exponential model gets the job done. But hold up. PISA enters the frame and things start to shift. While exponential is focused on the individual, PISA is analyzing the collective behavior. It's looking at the whole dataset, considering not just where one person might go, but how the entire crowd flows over time. For short-term predictions, exponential might win the speed game, but PISA is already setting itself up for the long-term play. Short-term winner? Exponential for now. But PISA is playing the long game. Here's where the real challenge begins. The UCY pedestrian dataset gives us a treasure trove of real-world pedestrian movements. People stopping to chat, dodging crowds, or taking unexpected turns. These aren't straight lines, they're non-Markovian dynamics, meaning behavior is influenced by past actions, environmental factors, and the people around them. This is where the exponential model starts to falter. It assumes movement is linear and predictable, but as time stretches out, those assumptions start to break. People stop, swerve, and act unpredictably, and the exponential model struggles to keep up. Errors pile up, and its predictions become unreliable. Meanwhile, PISA is thriving. It uses the density evolution framework to model not just individuals, but entire groups of people. It understands that pedestrian movement isn't isolated, it's collective. It analyzes how density flows change over time, making it far more accurate in the long run. For long-term predictions, it's not even close. PISA crushes this round. Now, let's crank up the chaos. Picture a busy intersection during rush hour. Pedestrians dodging bikes, someone stopping to tie their shoe, a skateboarder weaving through the crowd, and a delivery van unloading packages nearby. This is stochastic behavior in full swing, unpredictable, messy, and the kind of scenario that makes traditional models sweat. The exponential model, it's out of its depth. It can't handle the randomness or the ripple effects of crowd interactions. It's like trying to predict where a single drop of water will land in a raging river. Good luck. PISA, though, was built for this. Using the UCY pedestrian dataset, it learns to predict how crowd dynamics evolve in real time. It doesn't just focus on one person, it looks at how individuals affect the group and vice versa. By modeling density shifts and incorporating non-Markovian dynamics, PISA doesn't just handle the chaos, it dominates it. Winner? PISA, hands down. Now let's talk about trade-offs. The exponential model is lightweight and efficient. It's great for scenarios where resources are limited or predictions are short-term and straightforward. But that simplicity comes at a cost. It can't scale to handle complex, real-world environments like those in the UCY dataset. PISA, on the other hand, is a powerhouse. It needs more data and computational power, but it pays off big time in environments where accuracy and adaptability matter most. Whether it's a busy crosswalk, a crowded stadium, or a festival, PISA can scale to predict movements in ways the exponential model simply can't match. When it comes to predicting pedestrian movement in urban environments using the UCY pedestrian dataset, PISA is the undisputed champion. It handles the complexity, adapts to the chaos, and delivers accurate predictions in both short and long-term scenarios. The exponential model? It's great for simpler, low-stakes situations, but when the stakes are high, PISA is the only choice. And here's the real kicker. This isn't just about predicting movement, it's about designing smarter cities, safer streets, and better AI systems that can navigate the unpredictability of real life. PISA isn't just a step forward, it's a leap into the future. Let's talk about feed-forward neural networks in PISA, but hold up. Imagine your social network right now. If every single one of you watching shared this video, we'd create a literal viral neural network of viewers, passing knowledge like data across hidden layers. All right, now that's a reshare challenge worth taking on, because we're diving into how these neural networks operate within PISA and why they're absolutely essential to AI innovation. Feed-forward neural networks are like the backbone of modern AI, the hidden champions working tirelessly behind the scenes. Picture this. Data flows through these networks like water through pipes. It gets processed layer by layer, each time being shaped, refined, and perfected, until what comes out the other side is the insight, prediction, or decision we're after. It's a bit like a factory assembly line, but instead of cars, these networks assemble understanding. In PISA, these neural networks aren't just sitting around, they're hustling to predict complex dynamic systems. Each network has 3 hidden layers, because one layer would be lazy, right? They break down huge amounts of chaotic data into something manageable, allowing PISA to forecast long-term patterns accurately. Think of it like trying to predict the ripple patterns in a pond after throwing in 100 rocks. Feed-forward networks process all those ripples, figure out the math, and then say, hey, here's where everything will settle. Here's why they're such a big deal. PISA uses these networks to approximate the evolution of something called the Markov transfer operator. Now, that might sound like jargon from a sci-fi movie, but it's essentially the way these systems predict how densities, groups of possibilities, change over time. The networks are trained to recognize these patterns, and as a result, they make PISA way smarter than your average algorithm. But here's the kicker. It's not just about getting predictions right. It's about doing so consistently and reliably, even when the data is messy. These networks work to ensure the system doesn't just overfit to one situation. Instead, they strike the perfect balance between precision and adaptability. They're the unsung heroes, making sure PISA can tackle problems like crowd dynamics, robotics, and other insanely complex fields. So, if you're as impressed by feed-forward neural networks as I am, here's your challenge. Let's pass this knowledge along the network. Share this video, and let's see how far our own little data flow can go. Because just like these neural networks, the more we share and process information, the better we get at solving problems together. Remember when I promised this would be short and fun? Yeah, that was a total lie. But don't bail on me just yet. You've made it this far, right? You've stuck through the video, and I promise you, it's about to get even more exciting. I mean, unless you're the kind of person who finds theorems thrilling, and if that's you, well, congratulations, because this next section is all for you. But hey, even if you're not, trust me, there's a reason we're talking about this. It's like spinach for your brain. It might not sound tasty, but it's going to make you strong enough to flex some intellectual muscles. Okay, so here's the deal. This topic is like the big reveal in a movie. It's where the genius of everything we've been building up to comes together. We're diving into stationary terminal density, which I know sounds like it's about as fun as reading a legal contract. But hold up, what if I told you this is the secret sauce that makes AI agents function like absolute legends? Let's put it into context. Imagine you're building a theme park. You've got roller coasters, Ferris wheels, and food stalls. Now you want to know where people are naturally going to gather after they've had their fun, maybe near the funnel cakes or at the exits. That's exactly what stationary terminal density is all about. It's the long-term behavior of AI agents. It tells us where the system is going to settle after all the chaos of decision-making. Here's why it's wild. AI doesn't just do random stuff. Every action it takes, every decision it makes, is like plotting a course on a map. Stationary terminal density predicts where that course will end up, no matter where it started. It's like saying, hey, after all the twists and turns, here's the final destination. That's a huge deal because it means we can understand and control how AI behaves over the long haul. This isn't just theoretical mumbo-jumbo, it's a game changer. Think robotics, think crowd control, think autonomous cars. Stationary terminal density helps us understand stability, reliability, and how these agents interact in real-world scenarios. It's the ultimate cheat code for figuring out complex systems. And guess what? The math behind this is backed by some heavy-hitting concepts like the spectral decomposition theorem. I know, that sounds super fancy, but here's the gist. It's like breaking down a piece of music into individual notes so you can figure out how it all fits together. This theorem gives us the tools to analyze these densities and predict what's going to happen next. Now I know you might be thinking, all right, this is cool, but where's the fun part you promised? Hang tight, because once we're through this, we're diving into some jaw-dropping applications. This is the foundation. Folks, the backstage prep before the big concert. And trust me, it's worth it. So grab a coffee, stretch your legs, and buckle up, because we're building to something epic here. And hey, if you're still with me, you're already ahead of the game. You're not just watching this video, you're leveling up your knowledge step by step. So, ready to see how this applies to real-world AI? Let's go. Let's jump into this one with a story that'll blow your mind. Picture this. You're standing in front of a giant puzzle, the kind with thousands of tiny pieces. The goal? To put it together and reveal a masterpiece. But there's a catch. Every time you pick up a piece, it changes shape. 1 second it's a corner piece, the next it's an edge. Sounds impossible, right? Well, hold that thought, because that's exactly what Theorem 1 in PISA is here to solve. It's the cheat code for building the masterpiece of AI systems. Now imagine you're on a treasure hunt. You've got a map, but instead of clear landmarks, the map gives you vague clues like head north until something feels right. That's how most AI algorithms start, wandering through uncertainty. But Theorem 1, it's like someone handing you a compass that says, nope, not that way, go here. It locks in the rules, making sure everything falls into place so the AI can work like a pro. Here's the wild part. Theorem 1 is like the secret recipe for AI predictions. It ensures that no matter how messy the process starts, the pieces always come together into something that makes sense. It's the kind of behind-the-scenes magic that takes AI from, hey, it kind of works, to, holy cow, this thing knows what it's doing. And let's talk about why this matters. Without Theorem 1, the whole PISA algorithm would be like trying to build a house on quicksand, unstable and unreliable. But this theorem, it's the foundation. It guarantees that the AI doesn't just guess randomly, it calculates, refines, and lands on rock-solid conclusions. So, what's actually happening here? Theorem 1 relies on something called the Perron-Frobenius operator, which, brace yourself, isn't as scary as it sounds. Think of it as the ultimate puzzle master. It breaks down the problem into smaller, manageable pieces, kind of like sorting puzzle pieces by color. Once sorted, it ensures that everything fits together seamlessly. No wasted time, no confusion, just pure AI brilliance. And here's the kicker. Theorem 1 doesn't just solve problems, it makes sure the solutions are interpretable. This means that even when AI is doing its thing in the background, we can understand and trust the results. It's like having a backstage pass to the greatest AI concert ever. You see how the magic happens. But let's bring this back to you. Why should you care? Because this theorem is the key to making AI systems that can predict, adapt, and evolve in real-world applications, whether it's self-driving cars, personalized recommendations, or even predicting traffic flow. Theorem 1 is the unsung hero making it all possible. So if you've ever wondered how AI doesn't just work, but works so well it feels like it's reading your mind, this is it. Theorem 1, the compass, the puzzle master, the backbone of brilliance. And we're only getting started. Ready to see how this unfolds? Let's keep going. All right, let's crank up the energy. Should we make a proof overview of Theorem 1? I can't hear you, I said. Should we make a proof overview of Theorem 1? Okay, I get it. Maybe you're not exactly jumping out of your seat for this one. You're probably thinking, why do I even need a proof? Can't I just take the theorem and roll with it? But hey, stick with me here, because this is where the magic really happens. Let's break it down like this. Imagine you're watching an epic heist movie. You know, the ones with the mastermind planning every detail. How to get in, grab the treasure, and escape without a trace. The proof overview of Theorem 1, that's the heist plan. It's the blueprint that makes sure everything works flawlessly, no loose ends, no unexpected surprises. Without it, the whole operation falls apart. But here's the deal. Most of the time, we don't even see this kind of backstage magic. It's hidden in the background, working silently to make sure the AI systems we rely on are robust, reliable, and downright genius. So, yeah, maybe you're not leaping with excitement, but trust me, you're going to want to know how this all fits together. The proof overview dives into the gritty details, like breaking the Perron-Frobenius operator down into manageable pieces. Think of it as disassembling a complicated Lego set. Sure, the final model looks impressive, but to really understand it, you need to know how each piece fits. And once you do, you can build even cooler things. Here's the kicker. The proof doesn't just explain what works, it explains why it works. And that's a game changer. It's like having a car that doesn't just drive well, but also comes with a manual that teaches you how to make it fly. When you understand the proof, you're not just using the tools, you're mastering them. So, yeah, maybe a proof overview doesn't sound like the wildest ride, but it's the secret sauce behind the AI breakthroughs that are shaping our world. And if you're still not convinced, well, think of it this way. Knowing the proof means you're not just riding the AI wave, you're helping to steer the ship. Now let's dive in and see what makes this proof so powerful, shall we? Grab your popcorn, because this is where the nerdy magic starts. Picture this. You're at an all-you-can-eat buffet. There are 3 incredible food stations. One with the richest, creamiest pasta, that's interpretability. One with the juiciest, most delicious burgers, prediction accuracy. And one with an exotic make-your-own taco bar, flexibility. Your mouth is watering. You grab your plate, but then the waiter drops the bombshell. You only get 1 fork and a limited number of bites. So now you're stuck with this dilemma. Do you go all in on one dish? Or do you try to balance all 3, knowing you can't truly max out on everything? Welcome to the life of AI models, my friends. Now imagine that instead of food, these trade-offs are happening inside a brainy system like PISA. You've got this cutting-edge algorithm that's being asked to do everything perfectly. Interpret its decisions so humans can trust it, interpretability, predict future outcomes like a psychic, prediction accuracy, and adapt to any situation, flexibility. It's like asking a pro athlete to be the MVP in football, basketball, and chess. Tough, right? But wait, let's take a step back and actually dive into why this is so important. Think about it. If an AI is super accurate but doesn't explain itself, it's like your friend giving you directions but refusing to tell you why you should take a left turn down that sketchy alley. Sure, you might get to the destination, but you'll have zero trust in the process. On the flip side, if it's super clear and interpretable but keeps making bad calls, it's like having a really polite waiter who always brings you the wrong dish. And if it's rigid, well, good luck when the menu changes. You get the idea. Now let's bring this into the world of PISA. The first big pie here is interpretability. This is the part where PISA breaks down the problem into simple, digestible pieces for us mere humans. It's not a black box model that spits out answers with no explanation. Nope, it's more like that friend who pauses mid-conversation and says, "Oh, here's what I mean." So, interpretability is great for making AI transparent and trustworthy. But here's the catch. Focusing too much on interpretability can come at the expense of raw accuracy. You know, it's like those recipe blogs where they tell you their whole life story before actually getting to the recipe. Nice to understand the background, but you might just want the perfect cake. The second slice of pie? Prediction accuracy. This is where PISA truly flexes its muscles. It's all about nailing the right answers, whether it's predicting traffic patterns, pedestrian behavior, or the long-term evolution of AI agents. Prediction accuracy is the crown jewel. But guess what? To hit those accuracy levels, you sometimes need a model so complex that it becomes impossible to explain. It's like asking a magician to reveal their tricks while still blowing your mind. Tough to do both at the same time. And finally, we've got flexibility. This is the wildcard pie that lets PISA adapt to different scenarios. It's like being the cool friend who can go from a beach party to a formal gala and still fit right in. Flexibility is what makes PISA powerful across diverse applications, whether it's autonomous robots navigating a warehouse or predicting crowd movement in a busy city. But again, there's a cost. Too much flexibility can lead to overcomplication, where the model becomes a jack of all trades but a master of none. So what does PISA do? It strikes a balance, making trade-offs to juggle all three pies. Imagine a world-class chef carefully portioning out each dish, just enough interpretability so you can trust the decisions, just enough accuracy to blow your mind, and just enough flexibility to keep it adaptable. It's not perfect, but it's a recipe for success. And here's the kicker. This isn't just an AI problem. We face trade-offs like this every day in our lives. Think about it. When you're choosing a career, you might trade off passion for stability. When you're building a business, you balance cost against growth. Even in relationships, there's give and take. It's the same with AI. PISA is just making these tough calls on a super smart level. All right, so now you get why trade-offs are the lifeblood of AI models like PISA. But here's the real takeaway. Just like at that buffet, you can't have it all. You have to prioritize, balance, and decide what matters most. And if you're lucky, you might just find the sweet spot where everything works together seamlessly. So, are you ready to dig into these pies and see how PISA manages this balancing act? Let's roll. Let's talk about hyper. Now, when you hear the word hyper, what comes to mind? Maybe it's hyperloops, those futuristic high-speed trains that feel like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. Or maybe it's that one friend who's had way too much coffee and won't stop talking about their new crypto portfolio. Either way, hyper screams energy, speed, and just a lot going on. And guess what? In AI, it's no different, because today we're diving into hyperparameters. Now, don't let that big word scare you off. Think of hyperparameters like the dials on a supercharged sports car. You know, the kind you don't let your cousin borrow. These dials control how the engine of the PISA algorithm runs. Want more precision? Turn one dial. Need more speed? Adjust another. But just like with a car, if you mess with the settings too much, things can spiral out of control. So yeah, it's a big deal. Here's the thing about hyperparameters. They're the unsung heroes of AI. You don't see them on the front page. Nobody's walking around saying, wow, did you see how well-tuned their hyperparameter lambda is? Nope. But behind the scenes, these tiny adjustments are what take an AI model from meh, it kind of works, to oh wow, this thing is basically magic. So let's dive into the two headliners here, Lambda and Mu. These are like the VIPs of the hyperparameter world. Think of Lambda as the perfectionist. It ensures everything is in order, enforcing something fancy called orthogonality. That's just a techie way of saying it keeps things neat and efficient. It's like the friend who always organizes the group trip, making sure nobody forgets their passport. Then there's Mu, the rebel of the duo. Mu is all about capturing cycles and long-term trends. It doesn't care about the here and now. It's playing the long game. Imagine Mu as the person at the party who's already planning the after party before the main event even gets started. But here's where it gets interesting. Lambda and mu don't always play nice. If you push lambda too hard, it might get too obsessed with short-term results, leaving the long-term strategy in the dust. On the other hand, if mu takes over, you might end up with amazing long-term insights, but totally miss what's happening right in front of you. It's a balancing act, a lot like trying to juggle flaming torches while riding a unicycle. You've got to keep both in harmony or everything crashes. And this balance, it's what makes PISA so brilliant. It's like a master chef tasting the sauce every step of the way, adding a pinch of lambda here, a sprinkle of mu there, and constantly fine-tuning to get the perfect flavor. Whether PISA is tackling short-term predictions or mapping out long-term density evolution, these hyperparameters are working overtime to make it all happen. Now, let's bring this home. Why does this matter to you? Well, hyperparameters might seem like a niche detail, but they represent something bigger. They remind us that the tiniest adjustments, the things nobody notices, can make the biggest difference. Whether you're tuning a model, running a business, or just trying to improve yourself, it's all about finding that perfect balance. So, buckle up, because next we're diving even deeper into the mechanics of PISA's brilliance. And hey, if hyperloops are the future of transportation, then hyperparameters, they're the future of making AI smarter, faster, and more impactful. And here we are again, Markov. It's like that one character in a TV show who keeps showing up no matter what. You thought you'd left them behind, but nope. Here we are back with Markov, except this time we're not just talking about Markov processes. Oh no, now we're getting into Markov operators. And yes, I know what you're thinking. Operators like the minions, do they work in pairs? Do they yell banana? Well, not quite, but honestly, wouldn't that make learning way more fun? Let's break it down. Markov operators are like the behind-the-scenes crew of your favorite movie. You don't see them on the big screen, but they're doing all the heavy lifting to make the magic happen. They're the unsung heroes, ensuring that everything runs smoothly in the Markov world. Think of them as the orchestrators of probability, ensuring that all the pieces fit together like a perfectly timed Rube Goldberg machine. So what do these operators actually do? Well, they act on probability densities and ensure that everything stays neat and tidy. Linearity, check. Non-negativity, double check. Total probability conserved over time. Absolutely, it's like they're running a really efficient assembly line where no piece ever goes missing and everything stays in perfect order. They're the factory workers of stochastic systems, keeping the whole show running like clockwork. But here's where it gets cool. These operators are essential in modeling AI-driven agents. Whether it's robots navigating a crowded street or algorithms making real-time decisions, Markov operators are the ones ensuring the probabilities evolve in a way that makes sense. They take the complex chaos of real-world systems and bring order to it, step by step. Now, here's a fun analogy for you. Remember how in every Minions movie there's always some elaborate plan involving conveyor belts, gadgets, and a whole lot of mayhem? Well, Markov operators are like that conveyor belt, but without the chaos. Instead of a banana flying across the room, they make sure that every piece of data stays on track, evolving exactly as it should. So why does this matter? Because without Markov operators, the entire system would fall apart. Imagine trying to predict where a robot might move next, only to have your calculations thrown off because your probabilities didn't evolve properly. That's a recipe for disaster, but thanks to these operators, we can predict, analyze, and model with confidence, knowing that everything is working behind the scenes just as it should. And let's not forget, Markov operators are also incredibly flexible. Whether it's modeling the behavior of AI agents or helping systems adapt to new environments, these operators are the ultimate multitaskers. They're like that one friend who's not only good at coding, but also makes the best homemade pizza and runs a marathon every weekend. In short, they do it all. So, as we dive deeper into the world of Markov, let's take a moment to appreciate these silent, efficient heroes of AI. Without them, none of this would be possible. And no, they don't yell banana, but hey, they're still pretty awesome, right? We are back, And yes, still no bananas in sight, but hey, if you're feeling inspired, go ahead and hit pause, grab yourself a banana or whatever snack fuels your genius, and let's dive right back in. We're jumping into something juicy here, properties of Markov operators. And listen, I know properties might not sound like the most thrilling topic in the world, but trust me, this is where the magic happens. Think of it as uncovering the secret superpowers that make these operators so effective. It's like finding out your favorite superhero not only flies, but also cooks the perfect omelet. The versatility is mind-blowing. Now, let's talk about these properties, starting with linearity. Picture this. You've got a perfectly mixed fruit smoothie. If you pour half into one cup and a half into another, both cups still have the same blend of all the ingredients, right? That's linearity in action. It ensures that no matter how the input is divided or combined, the Markov operator keeps everything in balance, perfectly blending all probabilities. Next up, non-negativity. This one's a no-brainer. Negative probabilities? That's like saying you have negative bananas in your fruit bowl. It just doesn't make sense. Markov operators make sure every output is meaningful and grounded in reality. You might not notice it in action, but trust me, you'd notice if it weren't there. It's like the safety net in a circus, essential, even if it's invisible most of the time. And finally, integral invariance. Okay, this one's a big deal. It's the property that ensures the total probability stays constant over time. Imagine running a marathon, and no matter how far you go or how fast you run, your energy levels never drop. That's integral invariance, a guarantee that the sum of everything stays the same, no matter how the system evolves. Pretty cool, right? Now, why should you care? Because these properties are what make Markov operators so reliable and versatile. They're the reason we can use them to model complex systems like AI-driven agents or autonomous robots. They ensure that every calculation stays consistent, every outcome stays meaningful, and every system stays stable. Without these properties, our AI models would be like a Jenga tower, unstable and prone to collapse. So, as we move forward, let's appreciate the quiet genius of Markov operators and their properties. And if you did grab that banana, enjoy it. You've earned it. Now, let's keep going because the next part is where things really get interesting. Ready? Let's do this. All right, buckle up, because we're about to uncover a concept that's as fascinating as a blockbuster plot twist. It's called constructiveness in Markov processes. And let me tell you, this isn't just your run-of-the-mill math talk. No, this is the hidden magic that explains how chaos can actually lead to order. Imagine if every crazy, unpredictable moment in your life somehow aligned perfectly into a beautiful, harmonious ending. That's what constructiveness is all about. Now, let me set the scene. Picture yourself in a crowded amusement park. People are darting in every direction. Kids screaming, popcorn flying, rides spinning, and yet somehow everyone eventually ends up exactly where they're supposed to be. No one planned it, but it just happens. That's the Markov process in action, and the constructiveness is the secret sauce behind the scenes. It ensures that no matter how wild and random the steps might seem, everything converges to a steady, predictable rhythm. The chaos doesn't stay chaotic. It evolves into a pattern. But let's bring it to life even more. Imagine a DJ dropping the sickest beat at a music festival. At first, the crowd is all over the place. Some people are just head nodding, others are jumping, and a few are doing questionable dance moves. But as the beat drops, something magical happens. Everyone syncs up, the energy aligns, and suddenly you're in this euphoric wave of perfect rhythm. That's constructiveness, a convergence of randomness into something stable and cohesive. So how does this apply to Markov processes? Well, constructiveness ensures that these processes don't just wander off aimlessly into the abyss. Instead, they zero in on a specific set of periodic densities, patterns that keep the system grounded and predictable. Think of it like a compass, always pointing the system toward its steady state, no matter how crazy the journey is along the way. And why does this matter? Because this is the kind of brilliance that powers AI agents and makes them reliable. It's how systems can learn to predict behaviors, adapt to environments, and ensure long-term stability. It's the unsung hero behind the scenes, making sure the models we build aren't just accurate, but also sustainable and meaningful. So next time you're in the middle of what feels like chaos, whether it's in a crowded park, a packed music festival, or even debugging code, just remember, there's a pattern forming. There's a steady state waiting to emerge. And that's the beauty of constructiveness. Let's keep moving forward, because the next piece of this puzzle is just as mind-blowing. Ready to see how it all ties together? Let's dive in. Right, here's a fun twist for you. Imagine this. You walk into a room with 3 doors. Behind door 1, there's a robot trying to predict where you're going to move next. Step left, step right, maybe even stop. Behind door 2, there's another robot, but it's only focused on remembering every move you've ever made. And behind door 3, a robot that doesn't care about what's behind or ahead, it's just winging it. Totally random. Now here's the challenge. Which robot do you think is going to make the smartest decisions? Take a moment, think about it. Got your answer? Well, here's the kicker. None of them are perfect. But in the world of Markov chains, the magic happens when you blend all these ideas into something smarter. You don't need to remember everything, door number 2, and you don't just go random, looking at you, door number 3. Instead, you focus on what matters right now and what's next. That's what makes Markov chains so powerful. They ask, what's the best next move, based on probabilities without carrying the baggage of every single past decision. Welcome to the new era of video creation with Jog AI. Simply type your script to get started. And this isn't just theoretical, it's the kind of logic driving some of the smartest AI systems on the planet. Predicting crowd flow, that's a Markov chain. Guiding self-driving cars, Markov at work. Even streaming platforms that somehow always know what show you'll binge next, they're using Markov logic to guess your next move. So let's crack open the secrets behind this clever system. Why do Markov chains work so well? How do they balance memory, logic, and randomness to keep everything moving smoothly? Stick with me, because we're about to unlock the answer to all those doors. Ready? Let's dive in. So, you've chosen your robot, or maybe you're still debating. Either way, here's the twist. In the world of Markov chains, it's not just about which door you pick. It's about how that choice influences everything else that comes next. That's where the Markov operator steps in, acting like a guide, helping each robot navigate through the possibilities. Here's what it does. At any given step, the Markov operator takes all the available probabilities, the paths the system can take, and updates them based on what matters now. It doesn't drag in unnecessary baggage from the past. Instead, it says, okay, here's where you are. Here's what's possible. Let's calculate the best next step. It's like a probability GPS, recalculating every time new data comes in. But here's where it gets even cooler. Markov operators don't just work for one robot. They can manage entire systems. Imagine a swarm of robots navigating a crowded city street. Some are delivering packages, some are avoiding pedestrians, and others are figuring out shortcuts. The Markov operator takes all their movements, processes them, and ensures the system stays balanced, efficient, and on track. It's the conductor in a chaotic symphony of decisions. And here's why this matters. We're not just talking about robots. This logic applies to everything from predicting pedestrian flows, thank you, UCY, pedestrian dataset, to self-driving cars, mapping out traffic patterns. Even the way streaming platforms recommend shows uses the same Markov magic to guess what you'll love next. The slides dive deep into this constructiveness, The idea that no matter how random or chaotic the movements seem, the system always converges to something stable. It's like the robots behind each door aren't just guessing, they're learning, refining, and eventually landing on the most reliable path forward. So let's crack open how these properties, linearity, non-negativity, and invariance, are what make these predictions possible. Because behind every smart move AI makes is this incredible system making sense of the chaos. Ready? Let's keep going. All right, let's do this. Imagine this, a gigantic, ever-shifting maze with walls that rearrange themselves, paths that open and close, and somewhere at its core is the grand prize, a solution so perfect it changes everything. Inside, there's a team of people, or AI agents, some sprinting recklessly, others overanalyzing every corner, and a few just straight up panicking. Now tell me, is that not the perfect setup for a Hollywood blockbuster? Seriously, someone should make this movie. Picture the drama. One character's convinced they've found the way out, only for the walls to slam shut behind them. Another swears they've cracked the pattern, but wait, what's this? A hidden door that wasn't there a second ago. And, of course, the plot twist. The maze isn't just a test of logic, it's learning from them. Are we pitching this to Hollywood yet? I mean, give me a call, Netflix. But here's the thing, this isn't just a cinematic fantasy. It's exactly what AI systems, guided by density evolution, are built to handle in real life. The maze might not have literal shifting walls, but it represents the ever-changing environments AI faces every day, urban traffic, crowded events, or unpredictable systems. Density evolution is the key to making sense of it all, turning chaos into clarity. Think about the maze again. At first, it's pure madness. Everyone's taking random paths, bumping into walls, doubling back. But over time, patterns start to emerge. People gravitate towards certain routes, abandon others, and the flow begins to stabilize. This is density evolution in action. It tracks how things change over time, finding the most efficient and predictable pathways. But it's not just tracking the movement, it's learning. Every step, every adjustment is feeding back into the system, helping it refine its understanding. It's like the maze is alive, guiding its agents to move, not just randomly, but intelligently. Now let's take this out of the maze and into real life. Imagine a bustling city intersection. Cars, bikes, pedestrians, delivery drones, all moving at once. To us, it looks chaotic, but with density evolution, the AI doesn't just react to what's happening, it predicts what's going to happen next. It calculates where the traffic will flow, which crosswalks will get congested, and how to keep everything running smoothly. Here's the genius of density evolution. It's not just about individual agents. It's about the collective movement. Whether it's a crowd at a music festival, traffic patterns in a city, or robots in a warehouse, density evolution models how the whole system behaves. It's not just about where one person or robot is going, it's about how their movements influence and are influenced by everyone else. And here's the kicker, it's grounded in solid mathematical principles like Markov processes and constructiveness. This means it's not just guessing, it's working off proven systems that ensure stability and predictability, even in the wildest environments. But let's go back to our Hollywood blockbuster for a second. Here's the real twist. The maze, or in this case the system, is smarter than anyone in it. The agents, or characters if we're still in movie mode, think they're making independent decisions. But the reality? The system is using density evolution to predict their moves, adapt to their actions, and guide them toward the solution. The agents aren't just participants, they're part of the process. And that's exactly how density evolution works in AI systems today. Whether it's autonomous vehicles, crowd management, or even delivery drones, the system isn't just reacting, it's orchestrating, ensuring that everything runs smoothly no matter how chaotic things get. So why does this matter? Because Density evolution is what turns randomness into reliability. It's the magic behind the scenes, allowing AI to thrive in complex environments. It's why your rideshare app knows the fastest route, why drones can deliver packages without collisions, and why cities can manage massive events without total chaos. It's not just about navigating the maze, it's about mastering it. And as for that Hollywood movie, well, someone should get on that. Because the story of how AI systems navigate chaos, learn from every step, and create order out of randomness, that's a blockbuster waiting to happen. But for now, let's keep exploring how density evolution makes all this possible. Imagine you're at a chaotic party. There's loud noise everywhere, people shouting, music blaring. It's complete mayhem. You can barely hear yourself think. Now picture this. You've got this superpower where you can walk into the center of that chaos, wave your hand, and bit by bit, the noise dies down. The conversations become clear, the music softens to a perfect vibe, and suddenly the party transforms into a space where everything makes sense, where you can actually enjoy yourself. That's the reverse process in diffusion models. You're taking the mess, the randomness, the chaos, and slowly refining it into something that's smooth, structured, and beautiful. Here's how it works. It starts with Gaussian noise. Think of it as the loud, jumbled party where everyone's talking over each other. At first glance, it seems like there's no hope, no way to make sense of it. But then we bring in the neural network for noise estimation. This is like the friend who knows exactly how to read the room. At every step, they figure out what needs to be adjusted, turning down the volume here, quieting a loud voice there, bringing everything into balance. The real magic, though, is in the iterative noise removal. This isn't an instant fix. It's a gradual, step-by-step process where each layer of chaos is peeled back to reveal the gem underneath. By the end, you've taken the initial mess and turned it into something extraordinary, realistic, high-quality samples that align perfectly with what you were aiming for. And what's fascinating is how deliberate this process is. It's not guessing or hoping for the best. It's calculated, methodical, and designed to deliver incredible results every single time. The party doesn't just quiet down, it becomes the most harmonious event imaginable, where everything feels just right. So, what we're seeing here isn't just a reverse process, it's an art form. It's the power of precision, creativity, and the ability to transform what looks like randomness into pure brilliance. Let's unpack this process and explore how it's revolutionizing AI systems in ways we never thought possible. So, here's the setup. You walk into a room, and there's this enormous chaotic pile of puzzle pieces dumped on the table. Some are flipped over, others are from entirely different puzzles, and a few might even be crumbs from someone's snack. It's a mess. Now, most people would see this disaster and think, nope, not worth it. But not you. You lean in, roll up your sleeves, and say, this mess? This is my masterpiece waiting to happen. That's diffusion modeling in a nutshell. It starts with pure, unfiltered chaos. First, you collect the data, which is basically the puzzle pieces, but instead of organizing them right away, you do something counterintuitive. You add more chaos. Yep, you take that pile and throw a layer of static random noise over it. Sounds backward, right? But there's a method to the madness. Think of it like training for an extreme sport. You create the most challenging environment possible so that when the time comes, your system can handle anything you throw at it. It's not just a mess anymore. It's training for greatness. Then comes the epic redemption arc. The model steps in like a puzzle-solving prodigy and starts working. Piece by piece it learns. It isn't just throwing stuff together randomly. It's analyzing, processing, and figuring out how every single piece connects. It's like watching an artist at work, turning chaos into clarity. And this isn't just a one-time thing. The model doesn't take shortcuts. It goes through the process step by step, building layer upon layer of understanding until all the noise starts to make sense. Now here's where it gets cool. All that random noise? Gone. It's stripped away, leaving only the good stuff behind. The cleaned up, sharp, and meaningful insights. The kind of insights you can actually use to create real results. And the beauty of it? The process isn't just about fixing one problem or solving one puzzle. It's about learning how to handle any pile of chaos thrown your way, anytime, anywhere. It's like leveling up your problem-solving superpower. So yeah, diffusion models aren't just about cleaning up data. They're about transforming it, refining it, and making it something extraordinary. From chaos to clarity, step by step, piece by piece, it's a process that feels almost magical, except it's not magic. It's cutting-edge AI at its best. And here's where you come in. The more you understand this process, the more you can harness its potential. This isn't just theory. It's practical, game-changing tech that can revolutionize how you tackle complexity. It's not just solving puzzles, it's changing the way you see the mess and realizing that within every mess lies an opportunity to create something brilliant. Let's talk about PISA, a breakthrough in reinforcement learning that's setting a new standard for predicting agent behavior and optimizing trajectories. PISA, which stands for Prediction Informed by Spectral Decomposition Algorithm, is not just another algorithm. It's a system designed to redefine how we model the evolution of probabilities over time. Here's why it's a game changer. Traditional methods in trajectory optimization have limitations when it comes to long-term predictions or handling dynamic environments. PISA overcomes these by approximating the Markov transfer operator, allowing us to effectively model probability densities as they evolve. The result? Unparalleled predictive accuracy and a framework that thrives even in complex real-world scenarios. Let me break it down further. First, the advantages are clear. Precision in trajectory optimization. PISA outperforms conventional methods, delivering superior results when predicting long-term agent behavior. It's not just better, it's significantly more reliable when the stakes are high. Robustness in complex environments. Unlike many other models, PISA excels in situations where systems are non-Markovian. From lunar lander control to pedestrian movement modeling, it provides actionable solutions where others fail. Performance metrics. The results speak for themselves. PISA has consistently outperformed leading algorithms in rigorous numerical experiments. Whether it's estimating terminal densities or improving trajectory predictions, it's proven to be in a class of its own. The implications of this technology are massive. Think about the need for AI systems to predict and adapt to evolving situations, whether in autonomous robotics, logistics optimization, or space exploration. The ability to forecast with this level of accuracy changes everything. PISA isn't just theoretical, it's practical. The framework has already been tested in high-demand applications, such as optimizing rocket trajectories and solving problems with unpredictable dynamics. It delivers results because it operates at the intersection of rigorous mathematics and real-world functionality. Welcome to the new era of video creation with Jog AI. Simply type your script to get started. PISA in trajectory optimization. Let's get straight to why this is a pivotal breakthrough in AI-driven systems. At its core, PISA, Prediction Informed by Spectral Decomposition Algorithm, delivers something few approaches can: the ability to compute and optimize trajectories with precision, even in the face of uncertainty and complexity. By employing an alternating optimization algorithm, PISA predicts the terminal densities of Markov processes with unparalleled accuracy, enabling a deeper understanding of how stochastic dynamics evolve over time. What sets PISA apart? It leverages two distinct neural networks that work in unison to model the Markov transfer operator. This is where the magic happens, because it allows us to effectively capture the nuances of complex system behavior, no matter how unpredictable the environment. The results speak for themselves. In head-to-head comparisons with existing methods, PISA consistently outperforms, whether it's tackling long-term prediction accuracy or addressing dynamic real-world scenarios. Here's a perfect example. When applied to trajectory optimization tasks like controlling a lunar lander, PISA achieves a level of reliability that's unmatched. It doesn't just predict, it adapts. But the applications go far beyond just one use case. From optimizing pedestrian movement predictions in crowded environments to ensuring precise control over autonomous robotics, PISA is proving itself as the backbone of modern AI trajectory optimization. It's designed to thrive in high-dimensional, non-Markovian systems where traditional approaches simply can't keep up. Why does this matter? Because in the world of AI, precision, adaptability, and scalability aren't optional. They're mandatory. PISA delivers on all fronts. Its robustness and reliability make it a cornerstone for solving problems where accurate, long-term predictions are essential. If you're working in AI, robotics, or any domain where understanding and predicting trajectories matters, PISA isn't just a tool, it's a necessity. The future of AI systems that learn and evolve in real time depends on innovations like this. Are you ready to see how this could transform your field? Let's take this conversation further. What challenges in your work could benefit from a solution like PISA? Let's explore the possibilities together. To wrap it all up, let's reflect on what we've just explored. We've seen how PISA is advancing AI behavior prediction, delivering interpretability and accuracy that weren't possible before. We've also touched on the challenges like tackling non-Markovian dynamics and the opportunities for future research to push boundaries even further. Lastly, we highlighted the need for broader evaluation metrics, ensuring AI systems aren't just powerful, but aligned with human values and practical applications. This is just the beginning. The world of AI is evolving rapidly, and what we're seeing with PISA is a glimpse of the incredible potential waiting to be unlocked. The next frontier is about making AI systems not just smarter, but more adaptable, transparent, and reliable in solving real-world problems. All right, I'm going to be honest. I'm exhausted after diving deep into this groundbreaking work with you, but don't worry, there's so much more to come. We're just scratching the surface of the wonderful world of AI. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel, because the next video is going to take us even deeper into the incredible advancements shaping the future. Hit that subscribe button, share this video with your network, and let's keep exploring AI together. See you in the next one.